It's a good day today. Link Jarrett is on the Jeff Cameron Show. We will have him. I recorded it just before I came into the studios today. Link joined me from his office, and we had a lengthy conversation, and by that I mean a good one. Lengthy conversation about the upcoming baseball season and obviously his team and what to look for and things that he's hoping are in place, some others that he'll still have to wait and see play out, and a little bit of talk of what it's like to run a club in the modern era. You know, college baseball is not dissimilar these days in some capacity to college football. Kids coming and going, and your roster overhaul is pretty significant. So I do think if you look big picture, by the way, Micah Posey, pitching coach, who's always fascinating to listen to and really gives keen insight as to what coaches are looking for, looking at, the way they train players, the modern analytics, the way in which they teach it and what they're scouting for and how they try to develop their prospects. It's really infinitely fascinating. He too sat down with me today, and I talked with him for well over 20 minutes as well. I think we're going to run that tomorrow. We'll run that tomorrow. Instead, we'll run Link today. We'll get out in front of the season to be and have Link's comments. And then tomorrow we'll run Micah Posey's interview, as we are now just, 9 days away from the start of Florida State baseball, where there are very high expectations. That'll happen when you're A, Florida State baseball, and B, you just were one of the last 4 teams standing and perhaps a check swing call away from competing to win a national title. So I think that we're in good shape. We're in good shape with all that's going on with Florida State baseball. Different looking team, lot of stuff to figure out, but not without some answers, I think, and that's what's fun, and a variety of looks. So that will happen in hour number 2. Hey, congratulations go out to the basketball team who showed up for Leonard Hamilton the week that he announces he's going to resign. I was happy to see that. I was also really pleased with what I saw from Notre Dame's coach afterwards, commenting on what Leonard Hamilton has meant to him in his short time in the ACC and really what he represents as a coach. And look, it's not going to change things. Leonard Hamilton is gone at the end of the year, and we think the timing of that is absolutely right, not backing down from that. But I want what's best, and I would love to see Leonard win a bunch of games on his way out here, and I would certainly love that team to play really hard for him. And I was worried about it, given that their head coach just announced he is resigning at the end of the year. Now, this was not a pretty game, 18 turnovers. We gave up 16 offensive rebounds. I mean, that's not a recipe to win too often, but we did find a way to gut out a 67-60 win over Notre Dame. 21 points, 8 boards from Jameer Watkins, 18 points, 10 rebounds, 3 block shots from Malik Ewan. Bottom line is your 2 stars showed up and played well, and you won the game because that happened.
Ewan closes strong in the game for you. A couple of baskets and end one. You make your free throws, and you don't allow the thing to happen where it got tight for a second there in the last couple of minutes, and you're thinking, no, not like this, not again. Please don't do that again. And it didn't happen. You do get the win. And look, it's an emotional time for that program over there right now, because I feel like especially with baseball the last 7-8 years, and then the way football has been, it's just been a turnover machine. You know, basketball, a lot of the same people work in those offices for decades now. You could look at sports information, the training staff, some assistant coaches on Leonard's side, but people in that operation, in that basketball complex, have been there forever and a day. And so when a 23-year run ends or is coming to an end, it impacts not just the head man who said last night in his press conference, it's time, and it's time for them. It's time for me. And it sounds like Leonard is still eyeing something more in the basketball realm after.
I don't think he wants to retire. I think he wants to stay in basketball somehow, some way.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to stop coaching and stop doing the thing that he loves, and that's admirable because he has an acumen for it. It's just that program has seen so little turnover relative to some of the other ones that when this happens, when he finally has to have that team meeting with the players, and there are some support staff people in that room. I mean, I'm sure it's surreal. It's one of those deals. You know the time is coming, and yet when it happens, you say, "Oh,
Sure.
wow, this is a monumental moment," and that has to find its way into the locker room, and it has to be something that the players feel. And to see them summon it last night against whoever, I don't care who it was. It could have been BC and a home and home. Summon it against somebody, and then hopefully that leads you into one magical week in the ACC tournament to let this storybook come to its proper end.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. If you're going to look big picture in the league and where everybody's at, I'll bring it back home to the thoughts and concerns over at FSU, but there's a possibility with the way this thing is played out with the league and what keeps happening on a nightly basis that the 18-team ACC may get exactly 3 teams into the NCAA tournament. And Duke is looking like they have a chance to run the table and go 20-0 in conference play. They've got a game this weekend at Clemson that is losable. And I suppose because it's a rivalry, the road game at North Carolina, who's not good, but again, I'll chalk it up to the fact that it's a huge rivalry. Those are the only 2 games left outside of the any given night, any given, we understand that, but they may go undefeated and it's a tough time for the ACC. Now bring it back home.
Georgia Tech's result last night didn't help. They beat him in the Little John.
Yeah. Well, and that's a big picture topic too, because the ACC bringing in Cal and Stanford, which frankly only helps in women's sports.
Maybe baseball.
Maybe you're right. Maybe baseball. We'll see. You're right. That's fair. But these road trips to the Bay Area have been a burden for a lot of teams in this league. And after that burden, they don't respond well, Tom. Road teams who play on a Wednesday and then a Saturday against Cal, Stanford. So far, ACC road teams are 2-3 at Cal. And you can go back through and look at what's happened since then, and it's not good. Like the damage done to this excessive travel it doesn't go well for these teams. Just an aside. And also, this league stinks. So I mean, there's that too. So
yeah, there's the lead.
There's the lead. The league isn't very good. The Triangle must be nightly puking on themselves to watch their once proud product.
Is that what's on the video screen behind you?
The dumpster fire?
Is that the ACC? What is that behind you?
Man alive. But back to FSU, Tom hit on something that is correct. Leonard is beloved over there, and even if you are very excited about the next chapter, and I don't fault you for that, because this is a program that over the last few years, without question, has been stagnant. This is not going in the right direction. He is obviously, none of us are, getting any younger, and there were no positive signs that this was about to turn around and be a magnificent run, 3.0. It wasn't about to happen. So the move had to be made. It's the right decision. But even conceding all of that, you do understand that his former players and assistants, and there are administrators and others over there, and certainly the staff behind the scenes, equipment, all that stuff, they love him because he is such a man of integrity and admirable human being that they hate to see it. They hate to see it end, even though many of them that I've spoken to get it. They know the deal. Hey, listen, that's the job. That's the whole thing over there. That's anywhere in big time college athletics and certainly professional sports. You can be the greatest person in the world. But the end of a chapter is the end of a chapter, and it usually happens for good reason. It's because there's not enough of the winning that has to go on in order for the love affair to continue and be in its active form. But it does affect them emotionally, I think. And I think there's no doubt that there are people over there who are in a bit of a fog. So I was wondering going into last night's game, I thought this is going to go one of two ways. They're going to play fairly inspired, especially early in this game. and maybe like they'll respond to the first time they get punched, which they got punched a little bit early, and then
they did.
really responded nicely and went on the run, and then really never relinquished and kind of limped through to the finish line. But that was one way I thought it could go. The other was I thought they could lose by 40 and go through the motions, and I was a little worried early. But thankfully, it was the latter. I can't hit the ding-ding. It doesn't mean anything. They're not close. They're not going without, as Tom likes to describe it, a magical run.
Yeah, I wanted to check and make sure that I had the city in North Carolina correct for this year's ACC tournament. I didn't know if it would be in Greensboro or where. It's in Charlotte this year. Just want to make sure I had the city in North Carolina correct for an ACC postseason tournament. And this year in North Carolina, it's going to be in Charlotte. So there it will take place.
The magical run in Charlotte.
In Charlotte. Inspired as we were all.
Yeah.
People will cry if that happens.
I think that's true, Tom. I think that's true even for some rivals of ours would be like, well, now you got to be kidding me. Look at this fairy tale playing out. Yeah, I think that would be.
Held opponents to 36.7% shooting for the tournament. Unbelievable defensive effort. The Junkyard Dogs have one more fight in them, partner. They're going to the NCAA tournament.
It would be a wonderful thing to hear, or some such phrasing. Yes, it would be wonderful. I don't think that's going to happen, but hey, stranger things have happened. That is true in that sport. We've seen some crazy, crazy runs in these conference tournaments, these money grabs that are the conference tournaments. Yeah. They screw things up for the teams that actually earned it during the course of a long regular season, oftentimes resulting in which they're on the fence only to get screwed by some ridiculous run from a sub-500 team.
Malik Ewan, first team all tournament, 22 and 14, averages 22 and 14.
It would have to be that, Tommy. It would have to be something like that.
It will be.
Next few days, we will start to hear from Mike Norvell, and I feel like I'm the only guy who's really, really, really intrigued about these tours that they go on. The Seminole Boosters Tour begins this weekend, and I've never cared about these booster tours all that much with any coach, whether it was Coach Bowden or Coach Fisher or none of them. I've never really cared all that much because I get what they are. I understand it. It's a chance for my friends who live throughout the Southeast. They go out there. They get excited. I'll get a text. Hey, Norvell's in Miami tonight. I'm going over. It's going to be great. Well, awesome. Have a great time. Get you a couple cocktails. Ask a question or two. They're going to ask you for your money. It's going to be great. Have fun with that. I see the man once a week. It's okay. You go do it now. I've never cared, but also my team has never come off a 2-10 season, and I'm really curious the pitch.
I was looking at the media advisories, and obviously I heard yesterday on headlines we've got Matt Lasser going down to Orlando for the.
We do, yeah. This Saturday, February the 8th, he will be in Orlando. It continues next Monday in Pensacola, and Ira will be over in Pensacola. Hello to my peeps in Pensacola. I've gotten cozy, chummy with my folks in Pensacola. I've spoken to that club, the Seminole Club there in Pensacola, numerous times and enjoyed it thoroughly. And they know how to treat a man. I've gone over there and had some fine dining, hung out with the nice folks of Pensacola. Happy to do it again, guys. Gals, you let me know. Anyhow.
I was interested to see what the roster was going to be. If I thought on the tour, this is something I said last fall, so following up on it, that when it got to this point, I would expect to see Gus would go with him. I would expect to see maybe a couple of all-time Seminole greats hit the tour.
Tony White could go with him. Well, Gus being a former head coach, just you need the credibility and the like. Tony's an up-and-comer, but Gus would get people of the booster community to be like, oh, I know that name. Okay. Mm-hmm.
You need that, I think, right now, which is, oh, I know that Derek Brooks is going to be speaking. Awesome. Warwick Dunn's going to be there. Fantastic. I want to get a photo with Warwick Dunn. He's going himself. He's going the accountability route.
Saturday.
Good for him.
This Saturday, that is true.
This Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, Orlando's a big one. The Orlando market, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
We know that.
They love us. It's the most bizarre thing in the world when we've studied the numbers over the years. We're huge in Orlando.
Yes, we are.
We're also very big in Atlanta. But Orlando, I mean, the first time we could ever quantify these things about how far reaching the stream and all these things, it was like, well, you do well in Miami, you do well in Tampa, St. Pete, where you're from. Of course, you're doing great in Tallahassee. Look at these Orlando numbers.
We're actually outpacing our top 3 other markets in Orlando. Oddly, okay.
People
are stuck on iDrive, man. They got to listen. They got to listen to something.
And I've ripped Orlando over the years, and I've thought, how many times did a large contingent of JCS listeners in Orlando go, why? Why do you do this? We love you. Why are you doing this? You can't let it go. We're not just what you say we are. We've blossomed into something much bigger, Jeff Cameron. Anyhow, he'll be there. I am intrigued. I will explain a few things about that in a bit. It's also Super Bowl week, and it's kind of a dull Super Bowl week because it's a bit of a rematch. Well, it's not a bit of a rematch. It is. Also, people quite clearly have Chiefs fatigue, and there's just all of that. I don't think the 2 weeks off for the Super Bowl is a good thing. They need to roll right into the Super Bowl right after that AFC and NFC championship game. I don't think you need the 2 weeks. I don't.
I think what they could do is add the 18th game, which they're going to do.
Well, that's what they want to do, yeah.
Yeah, you add the 18th game, you add a second bye week during the season, and then you make it up on the other side. You make it up on the other side with the Super Bowl. And then if college can tuck their postseason back in closer to New Year's Day, you've got yourself a separation. Yep. You got everything you're looking for there.
Yeah, that is the hope. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Before we break really quickly, let me note that Shannon Young, my man, has made a move to be part of the nation's largest mortgage company. It's about time they got on board and figured out my man was a stud. He's now with Cross Country Mortgage. That means a lot of good things for all of you. Better rates, better options. I can just stop there. Better rates, better options. Stronger support, faster response. He's serving Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, and the Carolinas. So even though he's changed, there are things that don't with Shannon, and that is his undying effort. I mean, this guy, unrelenting. He is working hard, great attitude, energy, acumen, passion, unwavering commitment, all those things. Loansforknowles.com to learn more. Loansforknowles.com.
AC and electric is what we do. Service, repairs, and installation too. 222-7722.
Is your home ready for anything? At Parker Services AC and Electrical, we do more than just keep you cool. We keep your whole home running smoothly. From AC maintenance and duct cleanings to whole home generator installations, we've got everything you need for comfort and reliability. Join our Peak Performance membership to keep your HVAC system in top shape and catch issues before they turn into costly repairs. And with a reliable generator, you'll never be left in the dark again. Call Parker Services today, where comfort is just a call away. Water license number CMC 050334 and EC 1301240.
Tallahassee is full of rich history and traditions. When you think of things that jump out in the minds of longtime residents, the state capitol, McClay Gardens, the Springtime Tallahassee Parade, FSU and FAMU Sports, the St. Mark's Lighthouse, St. George Island, and Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Paul's has been protecting thousands of people, their pets, their homes, and their lawns in the capital region for over 50 years. Locally founded and still locally owned and operated. There aren't many businesses in our industry that keep it together that long. Paul's Pest Control has many customers we've been honored to serve for over the last 50 years. We've experienced tremendous changes in how we treat homes and protect the people that live there. We've moved from liquid termite treatments that require drilling into the home's foundation to Centricon, a baiting system which works with their natural biology. We've moved from interior service to exterior treatments for general pests. But one thing we're not going to change is our old-fashioned commitment to personal service for each of our customers, the same way we've been doing it for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too.
Call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. Tried and True Consulting, a Seminoles business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the battle's end. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653. Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Yeah, some folks did note, Tom, I beat him to the punch. I said, and you love to put us down in Orlando, and according to Corey.
You're an equal opportunity hater of many cities in the state of Florida. Everybody thinks that they're being singled out, but no city is safe, including our home city.
No, that's right. I will rip all cities.
And all areas around the cities, too. We're not just going after Tampa proper, the city limits. Pasco County catches a lot here, as it should.
Pasco rightfully catches a lot of flack, yes. Yeah.
Land O'Lakes. Luke's, Carrollwood,
Largo. Yeah. No, it's all out there. We've done it. Jacksonville knows that they get picked on too.
Temple Terrace.
I remember getting an email back when I used to get lengthy emails. I think it was because I got one this past week. I got an email from a guy this week. I forgot to tell you guys this. This is so good. I got an email. I'll just say, I won't say his full name, but his first name was Fred. Anyhow, he was furious that I called Liam Cohen a doofus.
Huh?
Like I said, I even said that. I responded to the email. I said, wait a minute. That's what you're mad at? You're mad at me for calling somebody a doofus? Which is...
That's really kind, actually.
Yeah.
You could have said a lot worse.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. He was mad that I called Liam Cohen a doofus. He said it was getting personal. I'm like, sir, I don't think you know the show. Doofus is hardly, I mean, it's just like a word for silly.
Duval.
But yeah, he was very mad, and he wrote me a lengthy email, and I responded to him, thanked him for the email. But I did question. I was like, wait a minute, you're claiming to be a fairly long time listener.
Yeah, man.
That can't be true.
No, well, it could be. It's just that it's never been about something that pisses him off, and then it goes to a different place. Because, well, wait a minute. Now you're pointing it at somebody I like.
Well, all I said is good luck to your beloved Jags. He had at no point pointed out that he was a Jags fan, but I think it's fairly obvious.
I'm telling you, there's something to that, though. Maybe it's the lack of Super Bowls. I don't know, but the Jacksonville...
Or meaning in the league whatsoever?
It's just that fan base is very touchy.
Well, they've had a rough go. That is a fan base that a couple of times had the rug pulled out from under them. They really had the Patriots in trouble, and that game was no quarterback play.
That was all theirs. That was all theirs for the taking, 100%.
Yeah, they've had a couple. And then other than that, when they're not having these little tiny runs of decency, they're just sorry getting sent off all over the world to play their games.
I had a guy we both know come up to me and say, why are you always picking on us for the tarp in the upper deck? It's not like you sell games out. And I said, yeah, I know. Tampa's fair weather. See? Easy.
It's not hard.
It's not hard.
No.
I'm not saying thump our chest. Now, you could at the Super Bowls, but it's not like we sell games out. We don't. We should more often, but we don't. Okay, see? Flawed. There you go.
They sold out this year's playoff game just like they did the last 5 years in the playoffs.
That's true. They will sell.
They are forever
game.
selling out playoff games, Tom.
No problems there.
Yeah, it's Super Bowl runs, playoff games, NFC Championship games.
But, I mean, if you want to say
after you win the division, there's usually a pretty
It's not like your fan base is not fickle. They are. Yes, they are. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, it's okay. That's the thing. It's weird to see. You guys are right. I should acknowledge. I won't go into depth. I get where the bread is buttered and the radio would turn off. But the women's team is the opposite of the men's team right now in basketball. The women's team is very, very good. And they continue to win a lot of big games and remain nationally ranked. And they've got a superstar, so that's cool.
That's a building storyline, too. You get to the tournament and you win some games of the tournament. Everybody's going to pay attention to it. It's just the nature of the beast right now. Is the lead story this week is men's basketball. Go figure. And that was an underdog before the week started. But when you're going to change head coaches, that's a humongous deal. First time in nearly a quarter century.
Yes, and it's the end of an era. We got a great question yesterday, and I have thought about this before. I think Florida State fans in general have thought about this before, the way that this just worked. It just worked out. And that they've had so many coaches over there in that athletic department who lasted for decades, plural. It just isn't normal. It really isn't a thing that you see all that frequent. And, you know, the first thing that stands out with that is you got to win a lot of games. And I talked about that. I mean, you got to win a lot of games for that sustainability to occur. And think about it. I mean, no matter what people would want to say about deficiencies of Mike Martin, for example, which is the only one thing they could say is that he did not win a national championship. He's won everything else there was to win, including an exceeding number of games that are record breaking. So like that's all you could say. Fair enough. But you would recognize the rest of it, you know, the building of a dynastic program. And then Bobby Bowden, even when time was up, there was no denying that Bobby Bowden had built a monster, had built a dynastic program, one that is still the benefactor of the 40-plus years of ass-kicking that took place largely under Bobby Bowden's watch. So there's that element. That's baseball and football. Basketball was not a dynasty. You wouldn't call it that. It's not the same. It's not comparable. But he is the winningest coach in Florida State history. He is the fifth winningest coach in ACC history. He did have a run of 3 straight Sweet 16s. We did go to the Elite Eight. He did have a team that got robbed out of a chance, and a real good one, to get to the Final Four, the elusive Final Four for him, unfortunately, the COVID year. And he did, during that second act in that run, produce a bunch of NBA talent. So that's another reason that lasted for 23 years. And you can, again, you look at these programs and just over and over and over again, you had people at the helm that were really successful. I'll point out Trey Jones has been here a minute. That golf program is really good. It's elite. It is comparable to many of the best programs in the country. He's missing a national championship, played for it, but that's all he's missing. They've done everything else, and they are steady churning out pros now. Luke Clinton is the star in the making. I mean, every other week you look up and the dude's in the top 10 and he's an amateur. Yeah. It's silly.
It would appear that Albright's not far behind.
Yeah.
Albright is on track. Yeah.
So that's cool to see too. They had one in Krikorian, who had been here a long time and won a bunch of national championships. But even though he's gone, next guy up, he won a national championship too. So It's not the same as the other gentlemen that I've mentioned, but that program has sustained a level of excellence. It's good. It is unique. And I think the overriding question is, would it happen in modern sports? Would it happen with the climate we're in today? And I think that's probably a no. Probably a no. I think baseball has a shot at it with Link. Yeah.
Non-revenue sports have a shot.
Of course they do. You're right. I mean, they're doing it now. You're seeing it with Lonnie. You're seeing it in soccer. You're seeing it. Tennis has gotten a lot better.
I think softball actually is a small revenue sport at this point. I'm just talking about the P&Ls. I think actually it's, I'm not saying it's football. I'm just saying that I think that they do a pretty good job revenue-wise. They need to expand that stadium, as much as they possibly can over the next 5 years, because those season tickets are impossible to get. I investigated last year looking at 2 different price points.
To get season tickets?
The level of booster I'd have to be as akin to some football booster that would be sitting where your dad is.
It's a tiny place.
It is. Yeah. So it's selective. Now, they did have those all-you-can-eat and drink seats, which I thought about, but they were hefty. Those were a heavy lift.
You dole out
I thought about it.
You give.
It's 2 years ago now, but yeah.
You give the American sports fan an all-you-can-eat and drink, buddy, and it's going to happen.
Look, man, if you're going to have to spend a lot of money, you might as well get something in return for a college sporting event.
It's not a lot of money to have season tickets for softball. It's hard to get them.
No, you have to have a booster contribution at a level to be eligible to get them. And then also you got to get lucky enough that somebody didn't renew in front of you. So it's quite a line because it's supply and demand. There's not much supply. But the tickets up in the crow's nest and down the first base line that are all you can whatever, I think it was quoted a couple of years ago, like $1,500 a seat for the year.
I will say this. I will say that is such a credit to Lonnie and her staff and what they've done, because let's be honest, as much as softball has improved in terms of a sport to view, I go back a long ways on these airwaves, and I can remember Dr. Joanne Graff, and I can remember what softball looked like 25 years ago. And I'll be honest with you, it was unwatchable. You couldn't pay me to sit there and watch women's softball. It was a joke. And it turned into especially played now at the highest level, it turned into a highly enjoyable sport to take in and much more athletic. And that's the whole thing that's happening in women's sports. That's been the biggest change in my lifetime. Most men, and I know you get in trouble for this, but I try to shoot you straight, do not like to watch women's sports. It's not something that we usually gravitate towards. And I'll tell you why. It has nothing to do with being misogynistic or anything like that. It has everything to do with bigger, stronger, faster. You grow up watching the best of the best in men's sports, and they're bigger, stronger, faster. And when you get used to watching bigger, stronger, faster, it's hard to dial it back and watch shorter, weaker, slower. It just is. And that doesn't, you're not a chauvinist. You're like, okay, I could be watching this sport played at a faster pace with guys who are much stronger. And in the case of basketball, let's say, jumping much higher. I like the above the rim game. If the women's hoop was 9 feet tall and they were dunking, we'd be like, okay, well, maybe then we have an equivalent. So for years, you just couldn't. I'd watch softball. It was a swing and bunt. Nobody hit the ball out of the park. There wasn't great speed and athleticism. It didn't exist. And that we've seen a huge influx of better athletes and a better brand of sport than we have seen in a long, long time in any sport, really. Softball's had a crazy climb. And I remember saying to you, I don't know when it was, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I was like, man, I watched us play softball last night, and I thoroughly enjoyed the game.
Well, that was the year of the conversion. It was we were there for ACC baseball. I was a corner pocket, and I was going to watch. It was 11 in the crew taking on Clemson in the ACC tournament. And what ended up stealing the show was Florida State hosting LSU here.
And that was the home run into the night.
Yeah, into the night, indeed, because the weather delayed the games into the night. They had to play twice.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And the whole place was hooting and hollering. And baseball was just this thing that was over here. Softball was main event. And it was at that point I was hooked. And I, thereafter become a coaches club member because the sport is explosive. It is.
Got better. Yeah. A lot better.
Yes.
A lot better.
It's explosive. That first national championship team and the ones around it too, power pitching, power hitting up and down the lineup. Not that they don't have that now, but it was a shock to the system. You're like, wow. And what our old general manager and friend Ron had been talking about for a long time prior to that was the reason you get pissed off every year for regionals and super regionals that softball's on instead of baseball is because the networks aren't stupid. The ratings are higher. Yeah, softball ratings were higher than college baseball for a long, long time. Now, college baseball might be in the midst of its own renaissance here to where it's going to compete, but for the better part of 15 years, softball was the higher rated product.
That's happened now. Baseball has reclaimed that, college baseball has, because the quality of the product is much better than it was.
Yeah, there's not enough minor leagues.
Yeah, so you're seeing it now. You're seeing major leaguers that are at the forefront for. I mean, look, Jamie Arnold is predicted by some, and that's Florida State's ace, and you'll hear Link talk about it. Same with Micah Posey. And we all know him because we watched him last year kick ass. But Jamie Arnold may be the number one pick in the draft. Maybe not, but we'll see. He's in the conversation as the number one pick in the draft. And when you see players like that, players we've watched over the last 5 years across college baseball be guys that not only have a chance, and Paul Skeens, and now I'm not saying that just because he's a Pirate and I'm excited about that, but you didn't have to wait long for Paul Skeens to be the number one pitcher in Major League Baseball. He had a cup of coffee in the minors. These guys are coming out of college far more prepared and ready to go and get called up. And that's even true of offensive players. Unfortunately, there have been a couple of Gators in recent years that same thing as offensive players had a cup of coffee in the minors and were up playing the bigs. So
Caglione's likely the next.
Probably likely the next, yeah. But they've had a few. And so that's good for all of us as consumers. Look, I'm for more things to be enthralled by with sports. I don't really care what it is. It could be soccer. It could be softball. It could be tennis. It could be I don't care. I want it to be something that I'm compelled to watch. I'm also just not going to tell people I'm watching it because it's what I'm supposed to say. And so we'll look at it, and there are a lot of reasons now to expand your horizons.
Well, look, women's golf is kicking ass right now. You've got two of the top amateurs in the world. You literally have the number one in Lottie Woad. But the reason I bring that up is because the ANWA is coming soon, and Lottie won it last year. She's going back there to defend her title, and we're into the year 2025 for 5 weeks now. And Mirabelle Ting has not lost to a single golfer yet in any competition this year, including her teammate Lottie, who's only lost to 3 golfers this year. 3 golfers. That's it that have beaten her in any competition, which in golf is just a silly thing to say. Those stats about Scotty Scheffler come out last year. He only lost to so many golfers over the span of 9 tournaments.
Right.
It was like 6 golfers.
It's insane.
The span of 9 tournaments. That's what women's golf is doing right now, in addition to having the number 1 ranked male amateur in the world on Trey's team. So, yeah, they're going to be in the limelight here soon, both of those sports.
And it was such a joy to talk to Lottie because you remember she came on the show and she was just a breath of fresh air. It was awesome to talk to her about her experience at the Masters and everything else. I mean, that's really, really cool. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Leon County Sheriff's Office is looking to boost the number of businesses hiring people recently released from prison. The benefits of hiring someone with a criminal record can impact the community, not just the individual. Roughly 50% of inmates who do not find a job shortly after release are likely to commit another crime or return to jail. LCSO is looking for more businesses to join their network and help hire offenders. While it is up to the employer what type of offenders they hire, building that relationship is a starting point for someone looking to get back on track. LCSO said they currently have about 40 businesses pledged to help hire people with criminal records. To help expand their partnership, the Sheriff's Office is hosting a Second Chance business event on February 20th. Businesses interested in attending can contact Aaron Tupper with the Leon County Sheriff's Office at 850-591-7017. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 80. Winds out of the south, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 56 with fog in spots tonight. Cloudy skies expected. Daytime highs approaching 78 tomorrow. Mainly clear skies develop with fog in spots early. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 79.
Join Boys Town by providing direct care for youth in a safe and caring family-style living environment. As a family teacher, receive a $20,000 hiring bonus. Boys Town Family Teachers are a married couple that have the unique job of caring for children that are not their own by teaching, guiding, and preparing girls and boys for success in life. This is a live-in position. Join us in helping youth reach their full potential as a family teaching couple at Boys Town. Apply at boystown.org/careers.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different, breeds, like different kinds.
There's like families. There's different families. And,
so there's if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch
or the Yeti, right?
Yep,
and then
Yeti.
Here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And
I've never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Somebody asked why, circling back to what I said about being intrigued with the messaging that we begin to hear coming out of Florida State football. It starts this Saturday. I believe the messaging, in my opinion, begins Saturday from the head coach when he's in Orlando. And why I'm intrigued by that, because I just think this is unprecedented. We've not watched something like this. We've never seen a coach go from an undefeated regular season to a 10-loss regular season. It's just, I've never been a part of covering something like that. I've not seen that. It's not normal. It may be the new normal. I don't know, because college football is changing all the time, and we already had some really weird things happen, like a team go 3-9 and then make the playoff, and then we saw a team win a national championship, turn around and lose 5 games. We've watched any number of things that kind of raise an eyebrow as to the changes that are coming in college football and what we might now consider normal, say 5 years from now. But usually these things are sort of a kumbaya moment where everybody gets together. They all have the same interest. You want Florida State to win. He wants to win. They need your support, your help. There's a rah-rah sort of speech that's given, and everybody gets together and decides, yeah, you know what? I'll renew my season tickets and give some extra money. I want to keep seeing this succeed. This is the first time where you're dealing with a bunch of fans and boosters that are a little perturbed and very concerned. And it's not just because of the season that just took place, but because of what's going on with all of the other things that we bring up on a regular basis. Is the stadium ready? What's that experience going to be like? Am I gonna be glad that I was all in when I go to Florida State, Alabama, game 1? They want to know the status of the situation with the ACC, which is still murky. They want to know about the football-only facility. What's going to happen in the NIL world? They want to know about the new coaches. They want to know about influx of players. How are we going to rebound from that year? And there's just a lot of, tough talking points and conversations to have. They're not all the kinds of things that you would ordinarily have to address on a booster tour. They're not. But I think the best way to handle this would be to tackle it head on and to obviously do what Norvell did a good job of doing most of the time in the midst of this bad situation this past season. He never dodged the results being unacceptable. You might say, well, yeah, how could he? Well, people do. You start hearing all kinds of gibberish from the dais when people are up against it and feeling the pressures of the moment and the stress of losing. But Mike did a good job of not dodging that. He repeatedly said it was unacceptable. In fact, I thought he apologized too frequently. I think you need to apologize maybe once. I don't think it needs to be a regular thing. I mean, just fix it. I need you over here apologizing all the time. And it's weird ways that's more annoying. But I will be fascinated to see, does he get asked tough questions?
When you're not winning games, you're in a no-win situation. Multiple ways. It's just no wins.
You and I have the PR firm. How would you advise him?
It's implied that you're sorry, so just call it unacceptable and move on.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I'm saying just in general, how are you addressing the Orlando group this Saturday?
Well, you need to read the crowd first. That's the thing. You have to have a couple of game plans ready based upon the hostility level or comfort level of the crowd. You might have gotten them into an open bar scenario for an hour and a half before the proceedings begin, and they're feeling pretty good. And that's a crowd that you treat very differently than a 2:00 in the afternoon. I need to be somewhere at 5 crowd who's kind of perturbed that I sat in traffic to come here.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to read a room. You've had to read many rooms over the years. And you have to have different plans ready for those different situations. Because if you have a friendly crowd who's had a couple of cocktails, you can say, thank God that's over. And the crowd starts laughing. But seriously, everybody, this has been an incredible educational experience that I'm sorry we all had to go through together.
And never again.
Right. And then, woo, people start clapping, and then you're off and running. Now, if it's a crowd that is tight, like a drum, then you need to address that differently and come out a little bit more heartfelt out the gate, I think, to engage them. And then you move on and move forward.
Yeah, I think you got to have some answers. I do. I think you have to, most people do not like uncertainty and being in limbo. So whatever you can do to quell that feeling of, the uncertainty and the being in limbo, whatever you can do there. And I think most of the time it's addressing something head on. Now you can do it with humor and you can do it with a lot of different things. You have to have anecdotes and all those kinds of things. But I think that it's self-evident that he's made a lot of changes. It's both in the kinds of players they're bringing in, what was required of those individuals, meaning what they had to have seen in them. And then also, he made staff changes. So that's also self-evident. And you can get into talking about that. Like, well, lesson learned, like you just said, educational experience. It's a weird time in college football. And I'll tell you what, I was a little slow to react in that. That'll never happen again. I now know this, and this. And I'm glad we've made those changes. And I brought in some excellent coaches that are guys that I'm extremely proud to call my cohorts here, who I think are going to do a wonderful job. I'll tell you what I like about Tony White, who I brought in as our new defensive coordinator. And now we're going, and you go through there. Yeah.
Your best friend is the word new. That's your best friend. New, because also you're programming the audience to hear the word renew. There you go. Very nice. Everybody walks together.
Speaking of new, I just got word that Philip, you're in the front row there. I knew you would be. Thanks for renewing, buddy. Philip gets it, I hope you guys do too. It's now's not the time to back up. We got to go all in together. Here we go.
The problem is when you do get into the Q&A, it's already frustrating enough if you're in a good setting, where you're coming off of a lot of success, and people ask you questions that you don't know the answer to because nobody knows the answer to it. That's a frustrating thing. You could get into a panel Q&A where 3 consecutive questions are on the future of NIL, the exact nature of maybe the stadium project, which I'm the head coach. I'm not the athletic director, so it's going to be beautiful. Do you know the specifics of when that's going to, if you get asked a few questions in a row on that, and you have to say, I'm not sure, that's tough, even if you're 10-2, because we are in such a transitional phase of the game. So it's not the ideal time to be pitching, but he's going to do it, and he's going to do it himself, it looks like.
Yeah, for this one for sure. We'll see. Like I said,
keep teasing. Somebody's out there for Pensacola.
The one for a couple days from now is Pensacola on the 10th.
Really? Yeah. Well, you keep teasing it like just this Orlando one. He's probably they pulling out some big stops for the Pensacola stop.
I don't know.
They got you coming down there. Are you a keynote?
I am not a keynote speaker there. If they were going to do something, I think you could guess what they would do. There's a certain all-world player who's from Pensacola that was an all-world player here and is now in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Seems like a good time to break him out, but next hour, Link Jarrett, head baseball coach, will join us on the Jeff Cameron Show.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing NMLS 373031.
Every journey starts with a first step, a daring step. But what they don't say about first steps is that you have to keep going, taking step after step, and eventually you take a big leap, accomplishing more than you ever thought possible. After 57 years, Tallahassee Community College is soaring even higher, and we're now officially Tallahassee State College. We invite you to take a step and visit Tallahassee State College. Learn more at tsc.fl.edu.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Knowles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WBFT, Greta, Tallahassee. Your Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3, brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with 2 great locations in Tallahassee.
The Jacksonville Jaguars have a new quarterbacks coach. According to a report from ESPN, Spencer Whipple, the former Cardinals passing game specialist, is going to join Liam Cohen's staff, and he's going to serve as the quarterbacks coach. The Jaguars are talking to a whole bunch of folks about their open general manager position. However, Buccaneers assistant GM Mike Greenberg has reportedly pulled his name out of consideration. NHL hockey, the Tampa Bay Lightning, they get a win over the Senators yesterday, 4-3. Brandon Hagel had the game winner. The 2 teams will meet again in Tampa on Thursday night. And the Florida Panthers lose to the Capitals yesterday, 6-3. This Sports Flash is brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun, and Gold. More than you might expect with 2 great locations in Tallahassee. I'm Matt Pauley on Real Talk 93.3.
Mornings can start feeling the same. Wake up, brush teeth, go to work. But with breakfast from Wendy's, it's like, wake up, brush teeth, baconate with a breakfast baconator. Roll with the sausage breakfast burrito. Buddy it up with a honey buddy. Or get seasoned with seasoned potatoes. And then go to work. Sorry. When you're ready for a fresh wake-up call, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Hey, I got you something. What's this? Just a little Galentine's gift from JTV. Do you mean jewelry television? I love their jewelry. They have the...
New customers get $25 off their first purchase of $75 or more. Visit jtv.com/romance.
Yeah, their artisan collections, gorgeous. Are you going to open your gift? Oh, yeah. It's the pearl bracelet.
New customers receive $25 $75 off their first purchase of $75 or more. Visit jtv.com/Roman.
The best happy hour in the city is at Café de Martín and El Bar. All day, every day, you can find great deals at Café de Martín while enjoying the best outdoor seating Tallahassee has to offer. Sip away on 2-for-1 house wines, chilcanos, and margaritas all day long, Monday through Thursday. Plus 2-for-1 pisco sours and margaritas on Fridays and Saturdays, and 2-for-1 mimosas for Sunday brunch. Come join us at Café de Martín, where every hour is happy hour, in the Esposito Shopping Center on Capitol Circle Northeast.
Listen to what people are saying about ACL Home Inspections.
They took the time to explain every detail, providing clear insights and answering all of my questions.
I needed an inspection quickly. ACL scheduled me within 24 hours, and the inspector was able to arrive early. That was a huge bonus, and my 2 dogs absolutely adore him.
ACL Home Inspections will accompany you on a walkthrough inspection of the home you want to buy, then provide you with an easy-to-read digital report the same day. For homeowners planning to list their house on the market before putting it up for sale, ACL will provide you a pre-listing inspection.
As a very analytical person, I want to see all the details and ask questions. I interviewed 3 home inspection companies and was very impressed by ACL.
See for yourself what people are saying. Search ACL Home Inspections and find out more at aclhomeinspections.com or call 850-312-8919. 850-312-8919.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon, those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Posey available this hour as well. A couple reasons for that. It just makes a little bit more sense as we look at the overall way the week is working out. So we will have both those for you in back-to-back hours. Link this hour here coming up in the second segment. A fun conversation with Link. Usually is, loves baseball. That's one thing you really recognize pretty quickly, right? Sometimes when you talk to coaches, they're all business. They're so obsessed with whatever detail is on their mind in the moment that you lose track of the fact that do they love to do what they do. I love it when I can tell instantaneously that the answer is a resounding yes. It's not always required to be good at your job that you have to love it. But I think when it comes to coaching and the amount of hours that goes in or that go in, yeah, you better love it. You better have a passion for it. So I would think that you'll recognize as you have in the past that he does, that he loves it, and it's a good conversation. Did we find out? Is it official? Matt, this kid is going to Maryland?
That's the text I got before we got to the top of the hour. I think he was deciding
between us and Maryland
in a public stream of some kind, the old school National Signing
Was there
Day
a
way.
dance around thing? Was there a big, like a jersey swap throw in the air with a hat?
If he danced, he didn't do so like Gene Deckerhoff suggested all those years ago when he said, dance to the war chant. But no, Maryland it is.
So we have confirmation.
So we're terrible again.
Well, I don't know about that, but we sure do not seem to win the services of defensive ends.
We did just flip two of them at the end of the early signing period, one from LSU, one from Ole Miss. Then he turned out to be a 5-star.
All right. Just so many failures in that regard that a stockpile. It's so bothersome.
Why is the last taste in our mouths with recruiting always bitter?
Resounding at that position. But all right. Fair enough. We get, you're right to remind us of that. I do wonder, I know yesterday, this is not one of those that comes as a huge surprise. The feeling was that that's where he was going to go. And the thing of it is, Ohio State wanted him and didn't get him. So you're like, okay. Really like Maryland that much, do you? I mean, my goodness gracious, I get it's your backyard, but...
Well, Maryland's making all that money. They got to spend it somewhere.
It is Maryland. I mean, let's go. Yeah, sir. But that really doesn't explain recruiting anymore. It really doesn't. I mean, that's not how this works. And that part of it I've kind of enjoyed, that, gone are the days where they get to hoard everybody. So now everybody can throw their 2 cents in, and it's a lot more than 2 cents. Hey, I did want to say this. Go ahead.
It's just a question for Life Spectator in the chat. I appreciate the multimedia blitz that he must enjoy, and I appreciate the heads up. He says the 93.3 stream is dropping in and out. So you're on YouTube. I just answer this in the chat for me, Spectator. You're on YouTube and you're watching the show, which has audio that comes with it, and you're also on the 93.3 stream. I find that fascinating.
My man he's got it working. There's backup going on. I like that kind of commitment. That's a 5-star listener.
How much of a delay is there between the YouTube and the stream?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, he does.
Do you?
No, but he does.
Let's find out. Live Spectator, let us know. But it matters, and I'm glad he's letting us know, because it matters. We've got an interview coming up.
Absolutely. We got a big one.
Are we getting the answers?
They're on their way.
So we were just talking about Maryland. We were talking about, teams that hoard anything, right? And all that's, it doesn't happen anymore. Like that we've watched all of this play out this way, and
discretionary dollars are now
had by all.
Rutgers has them.
But they don't kick ass.
No, they don't.
They don't.
What are they doing with their money? In fact, is it going to waste management in New Jersey? What's going on? A couple of contractors.
I would tell you that it's funny because this was at the root of all of the discussions about moving conferences. Like, if you left, you understand that your road gets harder. Just because you're making more money, it may not be a more enjoyable experience. And I think that larger conversation can be had for programs that historically have never been able to sustain a high level of play or excellence, or reach this peak performance when you're at your very best. But I never felt it was applicable to Florida State. Like, to me, understanding that the road to hoe would be much more difficult if we were in the Big Ten or the SEC, but also understanding that if you were maximizing all that you could do, so what? You'd be in a position to win the conference. Rutgers would not. No matter how proficient they were with the money they got, they would not be in a position to win the Big Ten.
Shouldn't they be good at something, though? Shouldn't you think to yourself, well, clearly they know what they aren't, and so they are outstanding at track and field, specifically the pole vault and the shot put. There is no better shot put school in the country. It's an Olympic factory at Rutgers. They take all that Big Ten money and they spend it on shot putters and Greco-Roman wrestlers. They're the East Coast Indiana.
They take all that money and put it into Greco-Roman wrestling?
Yes, they're the East Coast Iowa and Minnesota.
No.
Where's the money going, Rutgers?
It's a fine institution of academic and higher learning. That's what they do. I don't know. It is pretty interesting to think about for years, though. You're right. Once they made the switch, I thought, oh, maybe we'll see it. They did bring back Schiano, and you kind of felt like, well, in due time. But it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. And I would also, again, understand that anything that happens in the future involving Florida State as far as leaving and going to a much more difficult conference to navigate week to week, we've always said, again, if you're making equal money to those that you seek to compete against, we have always outkicked our coverage. We've always punched above our weight class. We've always been able to do that. I welcome it, but I also welcome it because, listen, you're going to a time that resembles the NFL. You can lose 3 games and make the college football playoff. You can lose 4, I think, once we get to 16 teams, which is in the not too far distant. I can speak. It's not too far away from happening. That's another terrible way of saying it.
That's true. It is.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to go from 12 to 14 to 16. I think they should just skip the middleman and go to 16 once they're going to do it, if that's their goal to begin with.
Well, the seismic shift is supposed to be coming in about 5 years' time. So, yeah, I would expect it at least by then when the TV contracts are meted out. I really think in the end, this is going to turn into a situation where the networks are going to split in terms of distribution. They're going to have similar
They're going to work together.
It'll be the NFL model. It'll be, yeah, all right, you might have more Big Ten and we have more SEC. The money's the same because it's a tier 1 college football package. And then NBC gets a couple of primetime games over here. They get in Notre Dame.
Well,
and then these other streaming services get their rights on a Thursday and a Friday.
Well, look at it this way. If it ever goes that route, think about what you see in the NFL. In the NFL, they cross-promote.
Yeah.
They'll tell you where any game is.
Right.
No matter what.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're previewing that week's games on Sunday morning and the pregame show begins, when they post it, they'll show the other network. They don't care.
Their logos and everything.
Yes.
That's part of the NFL's mandate. They didn't used to do that.
But they
now,
do it. Yeah, they do it all the time. And that's what you think is coming to college football eventually, where Fox and ESPN, which are battling for assets right now and trying to be king of the block so that they can dictate terms as to how the college football playoff is going to work and the next big TV contract and all that other stuff.
The media rights for the playoff itself. I think that's the end game. The regular season, I think that they're okay with splitting eventually as it gets down the line. But you want to have the Super Bowl more often if you have the NFL package.
Right.
That's ESPN's latest deal. When they got Buck and Aikman, they wanted, I know always, right? You
it's
recoil.
So fun. I love it. Good old Buck and Aikman.
They said, all right, we're investing $15 million in Joe Buck a year or whatever the hell they're paying him. Same thing with Troy. We got to have the Super Bowl every once in a while, guys. And the NFL said, all right, we'll put it on ABC and ESPN. You'll put it in the rotation. That's what they're fighting for now. And I think we're going to get there, just not anytime soon.
I'm really anxious. I was asked this on a show the other day, what the fallout was from Florida State's side of things with the announcement that ESPN had exercised the option. And, you know, what did that spell? Gloom and doom? No, Dad. That's good, buddy. That's good. Back to what I was saying. Would it be a doom and gloom scenario? And I said, you know, honestly, it felt that way at first as the whispers came out about the news that the ESPN was going to do what we thought they might do, which is exercise the option to extend and all of that. But then the more that you read and the more that you heard the rumblings about them trying to convince, meaning the conference trying to convince Florida State and Clemson to drop the lawsuit and incentivizing that result by perhaps coming up with more ways in which the money could better resemble that of what's being pulled in annually by teams in the SEC and the Big Ten, then so basically you're looking at what was called pot sweetening. And at that point I thought, well, it wouldn't be crazy if ESPN's the one who's exercising the option to retain the assets to a lesser degree. Now, we do understand that they are always going to hyper-promote the SEC. And anything that is given to the ACC in the way of promotion will be met with pushback by the SEC, saying, well, wait a minute now. We are your number one priority, and this was understood at a time when the contract negotiation began. So what is it you're willing to give ACC teams, even if it's a select couple? Because I don't know that I'm down with that, would the SEC say. But ESPN would say, hey, settle in. We can't renew or extend one of our assets, which is the ACC network, which we do have an investment in. This is a league we also cover, albeit as a second-class citizen. But we wouldn't have done that if Clemson and Florida State, Miami and North Carolina, if you'd like, were threatening to leave. We're going to leave. We're not going to stick around. So we need to ensure that they do. Well, the only way that they do is if the money's close. And maybe the only way you can get the money close is if ESPN themselves kick in the money.
Yeah.
And then they dress it up to look like whatever initiative they want. And I absolutely think that's a distinct possibility. That's not something that is unusual.
Well, I mean, they did it to help settle the Texas and Oklahoma.
That is correct.
Yes.
That's correct.
They found $100 million.
Yes, to help bridge the gap.
Right. Which they could be bridging towards 2030 in their ideal view. But the question is, will we relent to 2030?
My guess is that we would stick around in this league, even though it comes with a lot of problems, such as being thought of as a lesser tier league. And therefore, when you're on the bubble of making the playoff and it's you and a Big Ten team, you and an SEC team, you don't get in. We already saw how they thought about the ACC. The other part of that is you really struggle in recruiting when it comes down to you and an SEC team and you and a Big Ten team. And it's that five-star kid juggling where he wants to do. And he knows for a fact that the exposure and everything else is in the favor of the SEC and the Big Ten.
Or you get past October 4th in your home schedule for the remainder of the fall.
Is bend over.
Is Wake Forest and Virginia Tech and Pitt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, you knew they were going to, the league was going to stick it to us. We're suing them.
Sure.
You knew that. There was no chance you were going to get a favorable. They just gave you a favorable schedule and you butchered it.
That's true.
And then you sued them.
I don't mean even with the sequencing. I'm just saying that, if that was Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Kentucky, that would be infinitely more interesting for the town than Wake, Virginia Tech.
Financially, yes. All of it. Yeah. So there are all those things. But I would tell you that, again, you could argue, if I push back and say, Tom, the path to the playoff is a lot easier in the ACC than it is in the SEC.
Could be, but I might get 4 seats at the table at the SEC versus 2 in the ACC.
You would, but I'm saying if the money's equal, if the money's close to equal.
Sure.
Now we're operating at peak efficiency. We're not falling light years behind those we seek to compete against, and we're in this godforsaken sorry-ass league. I got to beat SMU, Clemson, and Miami. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, at that point, fine, because people will travel to come to the games for that, and we will lift 85% of the attendance, as we always have to do, it seems.
Yeah.
And then when you could get to that other place, all you really have to do is lift 60% of the attendance, and you can start raising rates. I know people don't want to hear that part, but that's where the businessman in me says, outstanding. You get me an SEC schedule, and I show you increased ticket prices across the board, all sports, because they're going to hop in their trailers, they're going to hop in their pickup trucks, and they're driving over here for a weekend series of baseball or softball or soccer, let alone football. We'll actually have a real tailgating atmosphere across the entirety of the parking lots if we can get into that conference. For now, there's a couple of Wake cars. There you go. Well, that guy's got, that's a cool little decal on the back of his Wake Forest mobile.
Hayden Guy, I'll answer you in a little bit. We got to get to this interview. It was a joy to talk to Link Jarrett, the head baseball coach at Florida State. I'm really excited about the direction of the program and excited about this team. He is too. You'll hear from him next.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
AC and electric is what we do. Service, repairs, and installation too. 222-7722.
Is your home ready for anything? At Parker Services AC and Electrical, we do more than just keep you cool. We keep your whole home running smoothly. From AC maintenance and duct cleanings to whole home generator installations, we've got everything you need for comfort and reliability. Join our Peak Performance membership to keep your HVAC system in top shape and catch issues before they turn into costly repairs. And with a reliable generator, you'll never be left in the dark again. Call Parker Services today, where comfort is just a call away. Water license number CMC 050334 and EC 1301240.
This is Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. There are many companies out there selling pest treatment programs at prices which seem too good to be true. Like most things, you get what you pay for. Let's separate the fact from the fiction. Fiction. The price these companies offer includes all visits needed to keep a home pest-free. Fact. Their prices only include regular visits for exterior treatments. If you encounter pests inside your home, these companies will charge you for additional visits. Is that really pest prevention? At Paul's Termite and Pest Control, we always apply exterior treatments, but our plan includes a significant difference. Whenever you encounter an interior problem, Paul's technicians are there, usually the same day you call, and there is no extra charge. With ProShield, you'll never pay extra for providing the service we promised. Pest prevention for your home, and we'll be there as many times as needed to honor our commitment with no extra charge. Paul's Termite and Pest Control is a local company that proudly serves the Tallahassee area for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites and any other pests,
call Paul's. We'll get them all.
And we make lawns greener, too.
Hey, Greg, did you know that some cars are more prone to auto glass damage than others?
I did not know that.
Yeah, a Jeep windshield is flat, making it very prone to damage. Nissan Rogues are popular. Toyotas, Subarus are always in my shop because they get damaged frequently and they require recalibration.
So you guys see a lot of SUVs.
Yeah, I guess the angle of the glass has a lot to do with it.
But it's not like you can avoid a rock no matter what you're driving.
Exactly. So just go to SeminoleAutoglass.com and let us take care of everything for you.
So how often do you see a DeLorean?
From time to time. Better call Seminole.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Welcome back, Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. You see the man on the screen. He is the head baseball coach, Jarrett, who joins us every year. Now this has become a tradition. We get excited. It means baseball's here. I can smell it. I can smell baseball. Although I will say, Link, first of all, thanks for coming on again, as always, but you probably had to deal with something in Tallahassee that you never in your life thought you were going to have to deal with. And guys were going into the indoor practice facility because it's snowing.
Yeah, Mike, Coach Norvell is so generous with allowing us to work in there. And Titus Queen and Bruce Warwick, that whole group, we were in trouble, Jeff, man. We were in trouble. I mean, to walk out here and look at, well, I don't know what it was, 3 inches of snow. And when you get the precip, which, I spent several years dealing with it, you get a mixture of things. And I think in that event here in town, we got a little bit of everything. So the layers of it were tough tough to get off the tarp. It took 4 days after the event to actually start to see some of the snow and ice melt in the first base area, which never gets any sun until you get into maybe mid to late March. The sun just sits lower behind the stadium a little bit, so you don't get any sun. So we chipped it away, and slowly as the temperatures rose, we got that crap out of there. And now, like, is this teasing us, man?
Buddy.
We practiced last night, and it was 74 degrees, and guys are out there running around. We want to get under the lights, and I got home and I told Jen, I'm like, what's coming? What's coming? Like, there's no way.
There's got to be another, like, polar vortex about to hit us, right? You know it.
I know, man. And it's 78, whatever it's going to be. It's 80 degrees, and the ryegrass is out there. And then I'm like, on February 12th, it's going to be 14 degrees. And I don't know. But, man, it's been fun. And I'm excited. You clearly, as you get closer, you start to align pitching, and you start to, well, you never stop hoping guys are healthy. But as you look at these horses and you try to get them into the gates to start the Derby, I mean, this is a long Derby, and you just want to make sure you're at your best when you saddle up and open those starting gates, and off we go. But the guys have been very engaged, Jeff. It's been as enjoyable a preseason. I'm not saying the best team I've ever seen. I'm just, their desire to perform and execute has been really impressive, man.
Well, take me through your mindset. I obviously, most people can recognize kind of surface level talking points for this baseball team, starting with the fact that I think if you're a fan of Florida State baseball, you think about all the power that's lost from one year to the next, at least in theory, based on those guys that are no longer here, that are off trying to play professional baseball, and we wish them all very good luck, and they're all great players. But for you, I guess, take me through what it's like for you as you know, outside we think about practice, and if you're a fan of Major League Baseball, you see the signs of pitchers and catchers reporting and all that, but you probably have markers and checkpoints and things you want to see out of individuals, plus as the collective, as you inch closer and closer. And now what are we, 9 days away? What are you looking for as you get this close to the season?
It always starts with the guys on the mound. If you're competitive and deep on the mound, you have a shot. Then you look at the defensive side of it, and if you can fundamentally play your position, and then when I go around the diamond, you try to assess who on the field, including the catcher, like who on that field that's out there supporting the pitching can make the above average play. So can you check the box on the fundamental part of the game? And you hope that's the case. And then can you make the above average play? How many spots on the field can make a plus game-changing play? That's how I assess our defense. And to be honest with you, it probably is more athletic than we were last year. In the whole recruitment of this, when half of your team is probably new every year with the transfer stuff that goes on, it's hard to say, this is what I want the team to look like. You have to fight like mad to get the recruiting right. And then when you step in that locker room in August, this is the team. Then you start to dissect and figure out, I mean, what this team needs to look like and what you truly have when you put it out there. I do like our pitching depth. I think we have some guys at the front of the game that can be very effective, and you've seen one, obviously. We have some options out of the bullpen, quite frankly. Now, how some of them are very new, but when you look at the stuff, and there's more metrics available to assess the pure stuff of the pitching, it's solid. So you like that. And, you know, our outfield, I think we have 3-4 guys that could be really good center fielders. So when you start to move that around, your outfield defense instantly becomes very good and rangy. And I think that will probably be the biggest difference in just this year's team and last, is maybe the profile of the outfield. Now, the profile of the outfield on the offensive side, when you have 20-something home runs in left and basically 30 in right, that's a lot to replace. And so is Smith and Dingus, and it's tricky. But the replacement and the adjustment that you have to make with the personnel can still lead to hard-nosed, tough good baseball. And it may be a different look at times. I think the defensive piece has to be a strength of ours. I think the pitching depth, like I said, is a little more thorough. And then offensively, you have to figure it out. Like the run game needs to be in play a little bit more. The ability to first to third and first to score, and maybe some guys that have some more just raw get up and go speed. I hope the short game is there. That was not something we forced a lot last year. And then when you look at West and you look at Fisher and you look at Lodis and you look at Farrow and you look at Max Williams and you look at DeLamalure, and you start to see, okay, there are some guys that were in this last year that need to be a little bit better. And can they shoulder some of the load? Take the numbers out of it, really, but can they develop into being some of the players that help carry us, like in the middle part of that lineup last year? And that's the way this has to work, especially in the era of the transfers. You know, when you can grab Gage Harrelson and you have your junior college players that are clearly talented in this area, Bladen Plain and Chase Williams and Nate Semelia behind the plate. Like you add these nice pieces, and Carter McCulley, another transfer JUCO infielder. It's not just for us, the Division I transfers. Those junior college players, like look at what Marco did. I mean, that's a talented junior college player from right down the road. So that's how I see it right now, and I do enjoy it. And I know the guys are frustrated. You know, like it's sometimes fun to coach a frustrated team because they know what happened last year at the end, and those lessons go a long way. And I think they're a little bit disappointed and frustrated at times in how that actually played out, believe it or not. So I think that leads them into going onto the field with still a chip on their shoulder, which I felt like the guys had last year. I see a different side of that this year, and I do like that hunger and a little bit of that frustration that I feel out of them, and it makes them push and work.
So you mentioned, Link, I want to circle back to something you stressed at the beginning of this overview that you just gave, and you were talking about, you know, on the base paths. And I was doing some research this morning knowing I was going to get a chance to talk to you. Last year, I think you guys stole 68 bases in 78 attempts. Should we expect a lot more than that this year?
Jeff, we need more than that. So you can expect it. Now we have to execute it. I think my biggest concerns overall are the guys that do have a good run capability. Are they ready to make really good run decisions? The acquisition rate last year, 68 of 78, is really high. And could I have pushed that a little bit more? Maybe there were times the answer is yes. But I did recognize the personnel, and sometimes what's going on at the plate is as important last year's team with what was going on, maybe in a chance to steal third base. This year, that needs to be more a part of the offense. And I think when people know that you have that capability, it might be a little more unsettling. I think it's unsettling to the opponent on the mound, in the field, behind the plate, to coach the game. Because when the run game starts to roll, for me personally as a coach, it's something you feel like you're responsible for because it can be managed. Now, if the athletes that are acquiring the bases against you are just so dynamic and elite, I mean, there's times it's really tough to defend. But knowing how I feel about it, that's really the feeling I would like for the opposing coach to have when they know they're coming in here and this team is different. But that entity of speed and run, and hopefully the decision-making of it, allows it to be more prevalent but equally as effective. I think the 80% or more rate of acquisition is what you want. If your rate of acquisition is low, you can run all you want. You're essentially probably causing more harm than the value of what you do acquire. And then my other side offensively along those lines would be, can our left-handed power bats? Can they deliver a quality enough at bat so the power plays? The difference between James Tibbs last year and Cam Smith and Ferrer, they got a lot. The physical part, yes. And I think all of the kids that are in that 19, 20, 21, there is that physical maturation. And Jamie Burleson, the development physically of the guys, I haven't seen anything like that. Okay, so let's check that box. But the quality of the at-bat and the decision-making and pitch recognition, that's the hardest thing for us to unpack as coaches. We can see what they do. we can see metrics and measurements. Jeff, we can't see what they see. You can't see what the pitch looks like.
Yeah.
And all the talk of Cam Smith his first year and the strike out too much. Well, that changed. And that was pitch recognition, seeing high level pitching. Tibbs was in the same bucket. Ferrer, and we didn't have a lot of time with Dingus, but his improvement, even in a short window, was spectacular. So the left-handed power bats, Max Williams has to continue to move the needle forward in the quality of the at-bat. Miles Bailey, 6'4", 255. I've never coached an athlete of that size on a baseball field. And, we're talking about guys, Bladen Plain, they can hit balls, if you just want to line it up, probably more powerful than last year. Now, can the quality of the at-bat lead to production? That's my question on the bases. Can the base stealing group really apply this right? And can the at-bat from some of the power guys produce consistent results?
Love seeing the options over at first base, Coach. You mentioned two of them just a moment ago, in Plain and obviously Miles Bailey. I don't know what to expect from a freshman, right? I know the Miles Bailey kid was right down the road at Lincoln, I think, and was a stud. Yeah. I mean, you talked about the sheer size of the individual. What are you looking for with guys like that when they first come into your program? There's prodigious power in there, but how do you help them along the way as they make the leap from high school to college?
It's the secondary pitches, Jeff. It's can they recognize and figure out what the secondary pitch, changeup, breaking ball, cutter, slider, how to manage that the fastball stuff. And in this era of the pitching machine quality and what we do from an offensive standpoint, the fastball stuff is one thing. It's the recognition of the secondary pitches. And then where does the spin on that tell you that ball's going? Is it something you can hit? Is it something that is better off you try to take it? 2 strikes, you don't have a choice. So can you adjust from a fastball to the secondary pitch? And we talk about it, and more importantly, we work on it, and it's part of our emphasis every day in the cage and on the field. And then obviously, like every scrimmage, I mean, they're trying to decide what the approach is. Sometimes maybe you try to eliminate the secondary pitches. How quickly those guys can adapt to what they see at this level and then being matched up. I don't know how many quality left-handed relievers Miles played against that they brought in the 7th inning of a high school game to try to pitch to Miles.
Right.
Everybody on our schedule has them. And, you've got your Holtz and you got your Laux and you got that whole crew of the left side for us and Rowan and last year with Oxford. The matchup piece is real. So whatever your weakness might be with today's scouting data, your opponents are going to find it. And they're going to try to attack you with that when they get chances. So that's the biggest maturation piece in terms of that quality. It's not easy. But I talked to my staff the other day, when you have a program that's in a place that it needs to be, your juniors are probably going to be gone. Like think about the juniors that we lost.
Yeah.
And we're lucky to have Miles Bailey and Carnes on campus. They didn't need to be on campus. So you have to have some guys that want to take that chance like Cam did. Like, I want to come play college baseball, and Miles and Carnes they're going to be 2-year drafts. So it's like Cam, they're not going to be here theoretically for 3 years if they perform. My point was some of those young guys have to step in to replace some of the older horses that clearly are going to be gone. And we need that out of Miles. We need it out of Carnes. And it's going to be fun to watch. We're very fortunate to have them on campus. So that's the type of freshman athlete when everybody can be drafted. I don't think any other sport on our campus deals with the fact that your high school players and your JUCO players don't have to show up. It's tricky. But you need those dudes to be here and produce.
Coach, you've referenced him twice, so I'm going to do it for the audience purposes. For many people who don't know the new faces on this team, you just talked about Hunter Carnes. He's a catcher. He's also a guy that could be, I suppose, a DH candidate. How much will he catch? I know you got 3 guys that you trust to catch, the first being Jackson West.
Well, that position, when you have depth, it helps everybody. You can make a lot of maneuvers. I think it keeps everybody more fresh. It's a wear and tear. Even Jackson clearly took hold of this thing last year and ran with his role. And it's a lot to catch 9 innings, 4 days a week, sometimes 5. And then you get into the postseason and, you know what the temperatures were like here in the regional and the super. So when you have catching depth, it gives you options. It gives you pinch running options. And then you're not worried. If you have to pinch run for somebody at a moment, middle, late part of the game, you can do it. And then you have guys that you feel good with sticking in the game. And it really doesn't matter. I think all 3 of those guys could catch at a very high level. And Carnes, Brad Vanderglass works with the catchers. I've never seen anybody work as hard with the catching as he does. So those 3 guys and Josh Reeder, he's a freshman. They work so hard, and Carnes has continued to mature. Any of those guys could go in any one of our games, and we would be just fine. Don't worry about the DH spot. Jeff, I don't even want to make a lineup out until next week. It's almost like a superstition I have. It seemed like early on, you get there and you're like, all right, well, let's do that. And so would get hurt. So we're still scrimmaging and everybody's involved in it. And eventually after this weekend, we'll sit down and try to do a lineup. But I really do like our catching, and Carnes is very capable. He gets rid of the ball really well. He's a thinking man's worker. He works at it. He was a 4.0. He was the only 4.0 we had this fall. I think Harrelson was 3.9 and some change. But it says a lot about him. And he came here to invest in Florida State and invest in his future, like Smith did.
It's funny, Coach, in just a few more minutes with you. I know you're busy, and I got to also interview Micah Posey next. But I would ask you, because we do this in the media, this isn't a lineup, but there's a familiarity with guys. Obviously, you mentioned one of them at the top of the rotation, and Jamie Arnold, and everybody knows the expectations of him. But when I was sitting down this morning over my cup of coffee, I was writing in what I thought I knew for sure and what I wanted to ask you about what I didn't know. But I started thinking, well, okay, we know low decent shortstop, and you can stop me at any time and say you're wrong. And that's fine. But, I mean, you can say low decent shortstop, Thoreau at second base, Max Williams in center field. We know that. I guessed Cal Fisher at third base. I know you have options, so I'm not pinning you down. I know the Texas Tech transfer, Gage Harrelson, who you just mentioned, will be in the outfield. I know there's a chance that one of the young kids that a lot of people don't know a lot about will also be in the outfield, Chase Williams, real good athlete, can really run. Like you said, you might have 3 center fielders. So am I kind of close to some guys that are going to play a prevalent role with you within that lineup?
You're on it, Jeff. You're all over it, man. You are. And the options that you have, that's fun to me, because the depth of it and the moves and keeping everybody sharp and crisp and on their toes, it's deep. I mean, there have been so many guys that have really performed in the fall and in the preseason. So you're on it. We do have good depth. We do. Yeah. Carter McCulley, any infield position. Fisher could play any infield position. It's fun to have that kind of mobility. It makes your practices competitive, and it gives you so many options if you need to make moves mid-game, late game. It's fun to have. And I do feel the same way on the mound. Like, we're starting to align things to get into this weekend. It's really your last weekend. And, Jamie will throw on Friday in the scrimmage, and Bellini will throw Saturday, and Mendez will throw Sunday. And we start to try to align some of their workout stuff and arm care. There's a lot that goes into getting to the mound. So the sooner we can start to align it, the better off. Now, that doesn't mean that's when they're throwing the following weekend. Things have to stay on track. If you look at, okay, what was the rotation going into last season, the first weekend? Just what was Leiter and Arnold? Right. I can't remember who we – think about what it was in the middle of the year, and then think about it what it was in the Super Regional. So you have to start to line things up for their work, but that doesn't mean that's how it's going to stay. And we all know that, but you do have to try to start to get things in order. And then we still have 3 or 4 guys that are in a starting ramp-up role. And Rowan and Crest and Lauk, there have been guys that have been impressive. And you can talk to Micah about it when you visit with him, but to have extended outings where Lauk can work on landing his secondary pitches and Crest can figure out the shapes of some of this stuff, it helps in the developmental piece. So I do like where we are, and I am thrilled with the depth that we have, positionally and on the mound. I just think it's more than I've had in a long time, and it helps you, like, as you look at the long haul of what you hope is a 70-plus game season.
It's a good problem to have, but I'm secretly rooting for one of the righties to win a spot in the rotation so I don't have to hear Eric Llewellyn tell me about the Tampa Jesuit trio over and over and over again.
Yeah, well, it's unbelievable that's where we've landed with this, and and it's transferring. And I think our best recruiters are probably our own players, and just in how they present themselves and how they go about their business and their relationships. I think it goes a long way when people do have transfer opportunities and they know players in programs. That speaks volumes about, clearly on the pitching side, what Micah has done. And Bellini was at South Florida and Mendez was at Ole Miss, and here they are. But that's if you want to say it's a fun time in the transfer world, that's one part of it that's definitely fun.
Last question for you. It's random. In the offseason, what part of your day brings you the most joy? Is it on the field work, meeting work, reviewing data with your assistant coaches, or is it something else?
I think I wake up and I'm on it like from 6:30 to 7:30. You can probably ask my staff. It's like Jen and I are there and we'll have a cup of coffee and I'm thinking through things, because once I get in my vehicle and I'm working my way in here and you walk in this facility, sometimes you don't know what's coming at you. But I know from 6:30 to 7:30, I can plan and think and have some quiet time to prepare for what at least I think is coming. Then you deal with some of the unpredictable stuff in your office day. And when I get to walk out on the field with these dudes, man, I absolutely, absolutely love that. Like, love it. And my assistants are the best in the country, and they take some of the burden of some of the things that, like, my day-to-day is with you and 2 other media events. They'll have a practice plan put together when I come off this interview with you that's probably as good as anybody could put together in the country. So knowing that allows me to focus on some other things to move the program along and prepare for our banquet on Thursday and some other speaking engagements Friday and the weekend and next week, all the media stuff. So knowing that allows me, when we get out to the field, to dive in with those fellows, man, and just the guys. Like, I like the guys. I like walking through the locker room every day and just messing around with whatever they're doing in the locker room. And then we go to the cage and they're banging around. So that 4 or 5 hour period I love. And then on the back end of it, when I get home and the sun's setting on these days, eventually that I won't make it for that. But sometimes the late evening and you throttle back, I kind of enjoy that too. So it's a sandwich, Jeff. It's an sunrise, sunset sandwich. And in the middle, I get that nice roast beef and the provolone right on that thing.
I like that you told me, and you began with what I begin with every morning the same way: the quiet of the morning coffee before all hell breaks loose. It's a beautiful thing.
I'm a coffee timer guy. 5:23, it goes off. 5:30, there's a nice pot. Yep. I'm on to just hydration now.
So you're doing the right thing. I drink too many cups, but my first cup, it's funny, yours is 5:23. Mine is 5:17. Link, we are right there, buddy.
I always go for numbers. Like when I put in 23, I've always done it because I'm like, if somehow we can win 2 of the 3 games that we play. Somehow.
That's well done.
I like to see numbers like that. So I don't know when it actually has the coffee done. I just know that joker kicks on at 23.
It's been a pleasure as always, Link. Best of luck this year. I'll see you around the ballpark, and thanks for your time, sir.
Enjoyed it, Jeff. Thank you, man.
Take care, man.
Bye.
That's Link Jarrett, head coach, Florida State baseball. I didn't get to do something that I wanted to do. Actually, I know he can't see me, but look at this, guys. Look at this at the end of the interview. That is Jeremy Salazar's batting helmet from his playing days at FSU, and I'm not even sure why I have it. Jeremy, if you want this back, it is yours to come and get. But I have a bunch of stuff like that from the 90s, and I think Link finished playing a year before Jeremy started, but I was going to, because last year he gave me a hard time for not having a batting helmet behind me, but I found one and I had it. But maybe I'll show Coach Posey that next. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Governor DeSantis announced a new tax holiday for Florida on Monday and is calling it Second Amendment Summer. It's part of his budget proposal titled Focus on Fiscal Responsibility. The tax holiday would allow people to purchase firearms, ammunition, and accessories tax-free from Memorial Day to July 4th. The governor's office claims this tax holiday could save Floridians $8 million on gun and ammo purchases. The budget still needs to be approved by the legislature when the regular session starts March 4th. School zone speed enforcement cameras were activated Monday to help ensure the safety of students and pedestrians. The cameras are just two of many that are expected to activate near over 20 schools in the capital city. Once a camera is activated, anyone who drives more than 10 miles over the school zone speed limit, the camera will snap a photo of their tag and they will receive a $100 citation that will have to be paid within 30 days. This is Rachel Anay with Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 80. Winds out of the south, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 56 with fog in spots tonight. Cloudy skies expected. Daytime highs approaching 78 tomorrow. Mainly clear skies develop with fog in spots early. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 81 degrees.
Roofing and construction services. T-Spark. T-SparkConstruction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those dark leaks. Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises. Roofing and construction services. T-Spark. T-SparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
There it is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. You two at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean? There was
Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude, I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean, you know.
No, I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Appreciate Link Jarrett. Next hour, you'll get to hear from Florida State pitching coach Micah Posey. Look forward to playing that for you. That's the second segment of hour three, as well. So you'll get that next. Really deep dive into the pitching staff. So you'll get the starters and you'll get situational. Well, I mean, they're not pinpointing certain things down. Obviously, you know who your one is at this point. It's Jamie Arnold. Everybody knows that. But from there, you'll hear some of the other guys that have an opportunity to perhaps fill out the rest of that rotation. And it's impressive. I got to be honest with you. I'm really, really excited to watch Joey Vellini pitch. He's a guy who a lot of people seem to think will be their number two. He's also from the left side. There's a chance they pitch from the left side Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll see with Wes Mendez. But they've got a lot of arms. And they've got a lot of situational guys. They've got a lot of, these late inning, high leverage guys. They got a guy coming out of the pen throwing 98, 97, 98 or above. I understand Ben Barrett has gotten healthy and has really worked on his body and has come back stronger than ever. And he has added a ton in terms of overall velocity. You may not recognize Ben Barrett. Remember, he's one of the guys who had to try to fight through injury last year. He gave us all he had. And now he's throwing 95, 96. So you're going to want to hear that. That's next hour. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, and Warchant TV. Is a national consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
There's no
Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the battle's end. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
WBFT Gretna, Tallahassee. This is Real Talk 93.3. More of the Jeff Cameron Show is coming up next. Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas. Brought to you by Palmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with two great locations in Tallahassee.
Super Bowl 59 coming up in New Orleans on Sunday. The Chiefs a 1.5 favorite over the Philadelphia Eagles, a total 48.5. Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown prop bet on the board -110. Travis Kelce +135. The heavy favorite, however, is Eagles running back Saquon Barkley -190 to score at least one touchdown in Super Bowl 59. College basketball today, the Florida Gators a 13-point favorite against Vanderbilt at O'Connell Center, 156 the total. Florida State looked to end a 4-game losing streak. They're laying 2 at home with Notre Dame, the total 143 at the Tucker Center. Fighting Irish have dropped 6 of 8 on the road. $250 bonus G-Bank Visa signature card. Visa.com/G-Bank. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
Members, it's here. Milo's Rewards Week deals for members only are up for grabs. You name it, we've got it for less. Get up to 40% off store-wide on hundreds of items, including select bag, tools, paint, and more. So what are you waiting for? Join for free today and get instant access to Milo's Rewards Week deals. Lowe's knows home improvement. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. Every day, ZipRecruiter helps people who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I'm Franklin, and I've been a Paul's Thermite technician for well over 10 years. Working for a great company like Paul's Thermite and Pest Control is a blessing for my family and myself. I get tremendous satisfaction knowing that the work I do helps protect most people's biggest investment, their homes, the place where they raise their families and build lifelong relationships. Paul's is the company that stands behind their commitments to customers and employees, and that makes me proud to represent them.
I'm Jay. Having the privilege to work with people like Franklin and all of our employees is truly an honor. There is no doubt that the staff of Paul's Termite and Pest Control is the best in our industry. All of our people are local, and local really does mean something. We are North Floridians. Our kids go to school here. We shop here. We build relationships here, and we honor our commitments. To all of our customers, thanks for trusting us to protect your family, pets, and home.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too, call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Listen to what people are saying about ACL Home Inspections.
They took the time to explain every detail, providing clear insights and answering all of my questions.
I needed an inspection quickly. ACL scheduled me within 24 hours, and the inspector was able to arrive early. That was a huge bonus, and my 2 dogs absolutely adore him.
ACL Home Inspections will accompany you on a walkthrough inspection of the home you want to buy, then provide you with an easy-to-read digital report the same day. For homeowners planning to list their house on the market before putting it up for sale, ACL will provide you a pre-listing inspection.
As a very analytical person, I want to see all the details and ask questions. I interviewed 3 home inspection companies and was very impressed by ACL.
See for yourself what people are saying. Search ACL Home Inspections and find out more at aclhomeinspections.com or call 850-312-8919. 850-312-8919.
Live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, hope you're doing well on a Balls McWednesday. Good to hear from Link Jarrett last hour. Hope you guys enjoyed that. It's good to have baseball in the air. Nearly upon us this hour, Micah Posey will join us, pitching coach. He gets, I love how, this is a compliment, coach. I love how kind of pitchy, nerdy he is. It is remarkable, and I even say this to him during the interview, that the stuff that you can quantify now compared to 1985, 1995, 2005. I mean, what you can do to surmise what a guy is or is not, and how you can fix, develop, change. what a guy is with all of the metrics available to them now is simply remarkable. You know, I always just thought of the data revolution and the video revolution and all that affecting golf swings, golf equipment, golf balls in the manner that it does. A lot of people associate that kind of technology specific to that industry because they're selling you a lot of stuff for starters in the public, and they can teach you why and tell you and show you why. Hey, sorry, Tom, I know you just got these irons 2 years ago, but they're antiquated. And here's why. If you look at your numbers and then just over and over again, they sell you stuff, but the pros use all that stuff. And I would deep dive down with that stuff with Trey Jones, golf coach at FSU, when we did that show together on Sirius XM. I would learn from golf coaches, golf instructors, head coaches, and swing coaches and all that about why that they, you know, what they were looking for on the TrackMan and the spin rates with certain golf balls and all that stuff. To see it applied in baseball now, and we knew about how it affected swings and why people began to, you know, kind of devalue the strikeout, or as a hitter, not worry about striking out, I should say, and really try to get the ball out of the ballpark. What kind of swing did that for you and why? Because you saw spin rates. You figured out how the ball left your bat a little bit differently than ever before. And that separate and lift sort of thing that you began to see. It's all fascinating to me now. You know, you see it in baseball now with pitching and spin rate. It is unbelievable.
I feel like something, you know, I look forward to people getting to see this interview with Coach Posey, but one of the follow-up interviews that I'll be interested in is just talking about how Jamie Arnold, who has a new pitch this year, he's breaking out a changeup, and that's something that Link has talked about at length in his preseason press conference, and it's something that's been refined and he's going to use a lot. And the numbers that he hits, that's what's going to be revealed in the interview. But the idea of falling in love with a pitch, you know, just because it's really good doesn't mean you have to throw it that often. How often do you need to throw it to be the most effective in the repertoire, to be the most effective in helping you navigate through 7 strong, if that's what your goal is? And as an ace, it should be something of a longer outing. What gets their butt in the seat sooner? What's more flashy? All that kind of stuff. That's its own little nuances. You see that in the major leagues all the time, especially in the relievers market. You know, these guys that bounce around, you know, they're middle relievers, sometimes setup men, maybe earlier in their career they were a closer, and they develop a new pitch. And you're watching over the course of 162, and you say, all right, buddy, I get it. Your slider looks good, but can we throw a fastball here?
Yeah.
They're on it. They're on it. Why are we throwing the slider so much? I'll be interested to see the integration and the comfort level of knowing how to use the pitch for the right purpose, rather than just to show that I can throw it.
I think a guy, there is a storyline heading into this season that is fascinating, and that is obviously you've got a guy who has his eyes on being the number 1 pick in the draft. Now, he's going to talk about team goals. He's going to talk about winning a national championship. And I think most competitors feel that way. Baseball's a team game, but there are a lot of individual numbers that people search for and try to achieve along the way that ends up helping the collective. But I think if you're a superstar player, if you're a great hitter or a great pitcher alike, and you have a chance to be considered somewhere in the first round and maybe even as the top pick, that's a worthwhile goal. That's an amazing thing to accomplish. That's remarkable. It can't be your singular focus, but it's certainly something you're aware of, and you kind of think about how cool would it be. But you also know that in order to be that guy, you're going to have to continually add to your repertoire. You're going to have to continually show growth and an upward mobility. You can't rely on just whatever it was you were good at a year ago, and he was really good a year ago. And there is a competitive fire with him that is not in question. There is a intelligence about the game that's not in question. There's a work ethic and a competitiveness. There's all those things. And then technically speaking, yes, adding depth, adding a lot of different things to your pitching repertoire, including a changeup in this case, really makes you attractive for that number 1 pick if you're able to achieve your goals.
This is something you see much more often in the bigs, because you could have a Monday through a Wednesday series or a Tuesday, Thursday series with a team in your own ballpark, and then you see the same team the next week for 2 in the middle, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so your starter faces the same lineup in back-to-back appearances. And the good ones know how to come out with a game plan in game 2, and they have the amount of stuff in game 2 that, oh, man, he didn't use his slider till the second time through the order last week. But take a look at this. The usage, he's using it 40% of the time, first time through the order this week. You're changing your game plan from start to start. That's where these extra pitches can help. But the feel for how to disperse them and how to use them, that's the veteran thing and what it can do, especially when you get to a tournament setting. You know, like a regional weekend where you might see a team on a Friday and maybe they make it all the way back there again to the championship round. Or in Omaha, maybe you beat somebody, you're in the winner's bracket, and you're going to see him again before you can advance to the final best of 3. That's where that extra pitch for Jamie can take him to that new level. It's just, how do you use it? When do you use it? And does it replace your slider? Or are you going to use the changeup more? All that stuff. It just gets so much fun to break down, and the sport is so much healthier. It mirrors the time when we got a whole lot better too. It leads to the excitement that we're seeing, not just from ourselves, but also on the boards and on social media too. People are pumped to watch this team.
Yeah, I am too. And the fact that they were a Final Four participant a year ago, you kind of just like, all right, let's build, let's get there, let's accomplish the goal, let's sustain excellence. And you can hear it in Link's voice too. By the way, speaking of Florida State, they win last night in basketball. Mentioned that in hour number 1. Good to see them rise up into losing streak on the heels of the announcement that Leonard Hamilton will resign at the end of the year. That was something I was a little worried about. How would it affect the team? They get a win over Notre Dame last night. Really cool to hear Notre Dame's coach afterwards talk about Leonard Hamilton and what he means to the league and to the sport and to his career as well. Also today, not to go overlooked, Chavez Sandman Thompson has signed with Florida State. He is a 3-star interior offensive lineman. Herb Hand liked him a lot. He was an FIU guy, and now he's coming here. So you get the news that he has signed. Chaston Brown is expected to sign, or has he yet today? I haven't checked the boards.
Take a look. Been busy, but I'll take a look. Earlier today, Antonio Cromartie Jr. signed. That was around 9 this morning, somewhere in there.
That was no suspense there. He is a 3-star cornerback and a legacy. We all know Cromartie. And then 3-star offensive tackle, Chaston Brown is who I'm referencing, looking like he is going to sign with Florida State as well. They do not get Zahir Mathis.
Yeah, an hour ago, Florida State announced it, which means whatever paperwork they need is in. And in some places, Brown is a 4-star as well. So nice get there.
So offensive line, I always want to hear that. You're right. In some places, he is a 4-star guy. I think our competitor has him as a 4-star guy. I know ESPN has him a 4-star guy. I think On3 has him as a 3-star guy. But I will tell you this.
I don't know. We competing with 24/7 much. I think we're kind of.
Chaston Brown is
our own thing.
Is a guy that was offered by Georgia Tech, and the reason that's important, and that you beat out Georgia Tech, is that they had a really good offensive line last year. Georgia Tech's offensive line was one of the best in the ACC. It was preseason projected to be a top 15 offensive line in the country, and it kind of lived up to it. They were really good up front, and given who their coach is and what he was as an offensive lineman himself, I like beating out Georgia Tech. I wouldn't care if it was another position, but Georgia Tech has put together a nice offensive line with a coach who has an offensive mind and offensive line mind in particular, so that's nice to see.
Oh, and that's where they spend their money. I mean, Josh Petty is going to make just under $1 million a year for the first 3 years of his college career, so they're highly invested in the offensive line.
Yeah.
That's, if you're going to be about something, then you better spend towards being about something, and that's certainly what Georgia Tech appears to be doing. As you're needing a break. Yeah, sorry, that was a bad time to end on a down note. We do have the question from Hayden. I do want to remind you before we get to Posey, so I was going to hit the woo button for you.
Yeah, my voice is a bit of a mess today, and that's why we had the break there. I've had the coughs and sniffles and everything else. I've been fighting off something to start this week, and hopefully it doesn't get any worse.
Hand it over to me. I'm doing this.
I know. I'm trying not to. I've kept my distance. I'm doing the best I can, everybody, but throat's getting a little froggy. Little froggy today, and it's concerned me. Yes, you mentioned that we did have in the chat a question. Hayden asks, theoretically, would you rather join the Big Ten or the SEC with no increased revenue for the first 5 years, or go independent with no media deal and stop playing Miami and Clemson? Very random and arbitrary scenario.
I'm assuming that the independence he speaks of would yield to higher returns.
I'm
Otherwise, what's the upside of going independent?
Yeah, I'm going to guess that you are hoping to bring in the haul, for example, that Notre Dame just did. Very few can do what Notre Dame does as an independent. It's the most storied, or one of the 3 or 4 most storied programs in the history of the sport. And as an independent, they have their own deal, obviously, with NBC that pays them gobs of money. They have all kinds of rich alumni and vaults of cash, to say the least.
If you could walk out scot-free and get no revenue increase for the next 5 years, I almost think it's still worth it because of the sponsorships that you would potentially attract for your sales group at Legends. Who, again, cold calling's easier when you have an SEC schedule coming to town for banner ads and for scoreboard ads and for naming rights. Same thing with the Big Ten. So you would see an increase in revenue there, and then prestige for the types of recruits that you're bringing in. I think I would just go to one of those 2 conferences.
Have you ever done the thing? Because this allows me to do this with the question. Have you ever done the thing like, how would you? Because when you play on NCAA, for example, you can customize your schedule to varying degrees. Now, you can either choose to remain true to whatever the conference schedule is that they have for you. You can make yourself an independent before the season starts. You can join a different conference before the season starts. But if you stay in your conference, you get those 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 games that you can choose where you can delete one and say, I'm not playing that sorry-ass game. Let's go to BYU on the road. It is a lot of fun to do that. And if you ever do the thing where you're a total independent, putting together your schedule is fun. And I have always sort of fantasized as the role of schedule maker for FSU, the independent. Like, how many cakewalks would I have? You got to have automatic wins. You can't be out here playing everybody every week. That is, ridiculously tough. And which would be the easy automatic wins? Would I factor in we need to take on East Tennessee State just because, No, but what would I do? And I always notice that I factor in a game in the Midwest. I always put a game out West. I always have a couple of really top-tier Southern games that are like Georgia and Miami and Florida that would be on the schedule every year. And then I'd look for something else. I'd take on even my Northern teams. I'd be like, well, we need an automatic win when we play the Northern teams. Kind of always wanted to play UMass at UMass for some reason. Let's play UMass and beat the brakes off of them. In Amherst. Yeah. I'd do the weirdest things on these schedules just to see what everybody would be. It would be fun, and it is a fun exercise. What's your dream schedule at FSU? Wyoming in the opener on the road in Laramie? No. Oh, come on, buddy. It'd be a lot of fun. Let's take it to Laramie. Imagine those poor people in Laramie seeing the Garden Gold running out. Well, last year they'd be like, come on.
Yeah, they would have. So nice uniforms. So what's the spread again? 7?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I do. I think it's kind of a fun thing to do. I guess I would. I kind of am with you. I might leave.
Come on, you get into the Big Ten, you can go to Purdue like you always wanted to.
I would. I'd take on a Purdue.
Is that your Midwest game that you scheduled?
Usually.
Yeah.
I figured. Yeah, it's a little Purdue. No, Dad, I do the same thing. I do the Air Force game. I've also worked in a little Colorado State. Beautiful backdrops call my name a lot. BYU, Air Force, Utah, Colorado State.
I think, we could make this connection because the lead developer of College Football 25 is a Knoll.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an interview with him and Ira before it was released. We also know the fine folks in Dublin with the Aer Lingus College Football Classic. We need to get that stadium made. We got to get Aviva made. Because that would be a great place to schedule a neutral site game in College Football 25. And Aviva, also a wonderful branding opportunity for the folks in Dublin. In fact, this is a really good idea. I'll bet we could make some scratch off it. We should probably workshop this off the air.
I love the idea. Just send us over to help out.
That's right. We could be the survey crew.
I have surveyed both locker rooms. I've been inside, saw the visitors and the home locker room, saw the changes that they had to make for the much bigger teams that come in. Obviously, football being much different than, say, rugby or soccer. So they really don't have the space in Aviva for the football teams. It's kind of funny what they have to do, the makeshift quickly rearrange everything. Now, the stadium itself is awesome for it, and the grass and all that, the open air we loved it. That was incredible. Walking out of there was amazing, even in disappointment.
Yeah.
Walking to and fro is incredible after that game.
The to was better than the fro, and not even just because of the result, because we needed a 9-person cab, and then we finally just broke down and said, all right, we're going to split it up into smaller cabs because we couldn't find one. That was tough.
On the way out?
Were you there? No, you walked.
I walked. I walked all the way back.
You had a different experience.
Like a man.
I walked all
the way back like a man.
What am I thinking about? You were going to hang out in the upper tank for another hour and a half?
No chance of that happening. And by the way, I loved my walk. It was fantastic. I stopped off a few places. It was incredible. It was a long walk from where that was. And I did it. I did a few miles.
Yeah, we huddled into the back row of
not this guy.
We had suitcase. I mean, I had the suitcase. Remember, I'm in a day and age in America, I'd be stopped by security every 20 seconds with a giant suitcase I'm wheeling down the streets of Dublin.
I was talking to the locals, stopping into their pubs.
I'm in such a better headspace that we're not in the middle of work for that. That trip needs to happen now. I would enjoy the locals and what they had to say a little bit more than I did last time.
It was perfect. Okay, Micah Posey, Florida State pitching coach, joins us on the Jeff Cameron Show next.
Injured? Call Fasig Brooks and come back stronger. Offices, Tallahassee.
Join Dr. Finn and Dr. Shannon to teach you how to further love your spine. Tuesday, February 11th at 6 p.m. at Finn Chiropractic for an advanced spinal care workshop. RSVP via text at 850-386-7700. Reply yes and your party amount. Your chiropractor loves you. Finn Chiropractic.
G-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. G-Spark Construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those storm leaks. Call 850-766-134. G-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. G-Spark Construction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Well, it's so great being back in the Oval Office looking out over the White House lawn. Speaking of lawns, I got to tell you about the Lawn Johns. They're the best. Anything from basic lawn care like mowing, edging, weed eating, and they can do even a full landscape design. Believe me, it's incredible. In fact, Elon and I have big plans, and we're going to grow grass on the moon, and guess who's going to be doing the lawn up there? Yeah, you got it. The Lawn Johns. Call them right now, or for a free estimate, you can visit them online at thelawnjohns.com.
Take a sip and have a trip with Tallulah's famous THC slushies. Lots of fun flavors to choose from. Refreshingly delicious and the perfect way to relax. Stop by Tallulah's and try the all-new sugar-free Jolly Rancher slushie today and find out why everyone is going mad for honey. A rare, intriguing, deep red honey harvested from the mountains of Nepal. Mad Honey is the latest trend, creating quite the buzz. Literally. Try Mad Honey today, only available at a Tallulah store near you.
On the front lines, fighting the insanity of the world.
This is G. Deckerhoff. In 1979, my friend Guy Moore opened his first store. Over 45 years later, Garnet and Gold is still providing the Seminole Nation with unique ways to show their spirit. As the last locally owned FSU merchandise source in Tallahassee, we're proud to be a part of the Florida State experience and this community. If you're a Seminole like me, this is your store. Garnet and Gold. Go Noles.
An event for your friends and family? The Golf Club at Summerbrook is more than just a place for a round of golf. It's also one of the best choices for hosting and celebrating the most special days in your life. From rehearsal dinners and baby showers to corporate banquets and kids' birthday parties, you'll receive amazing personal service and attention to every detail when you choose the Golf Club at Summerbrook. Find out how affordable it can be and call us today at 850-894-GOLF. That's 850-894-GOLF.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go, shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Morning, Paula.
Morning, Ron.
Another day in Adminville, am I right?
What are you working on? Oh,
You okay?
your tabs. You have so many open.
Yeah, gotta order lunch for the big client meeting. With great responsibility comes tabs.
I can help. Close all those tabs and open just one, easycater.com. Online ordering from local restaurants. Time, stay on budget, track expenses.
One tab to rule them all.
EasyCater, the smarter way to order food for work. Order now at easycater.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, and Warchant TV. That's Micah Posey. He is the pitching coach for Florida State. He's kind enough to join us again. Baseball is here, and it's a time to talk about what we're going to see when we head over to Dick Howser Stadium and Mike Martin Field. Coach, good to see you again. Hope you're well. Excited that baseball is back. Genuinely excited. Obviously, what a great run a year ago, but now we gear up for a new season, and like always, every year is unto itself, and you kind of have some known commodities and also some guys you're probably really excited to see infused in this rotation, also situationally. And yeah, I know you got a lot of different choices from a leverage standpoint, both from the left and right side.
Yeah. I mean, we feel like we have a lot of options. You know, that was kind of the focus this offseason was, you know, how can we make this room deeper? I think, you know, we got to Omaha last year. We saw, you know, it was a little thinner than it should be. And so, you know, this offseason, we recruited some right-handed breaking balls. We recruited, you know, try to get a little bit more velocity and also try to develop the guys that were already on the roster, try to get them more dimensional, more verse. And, you know, we feel like we're in a good spot with that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that fans or even me and the media and guys like us, we look at the transfers that come in, we look at different players, and then we try to infuse with what was already there. And I wonder how, so you guys finish up in Omaha, you come really close. You're one of the last four standing. Couple things go here or there. You might have won the national championship. You're looking at it already, hearing your verbiage. You're looking at it from a standpoint of both depth, but also, hey, we need more of this. You're talking about power, or you're talking about, you know, it could be a situational lefty, whatever it might be. Talk me through that off season and how you make the decisions you do on the pitchers that you bring in.
So last year we felt like we had gotten kind of left-handed dominant. You know, we had our left-handed room was very deep, very, you know, verse, and we felt good about that. The right-handed room was good, but it seemed to be a little bit more thin, particularly, you know, the right-handed power breaking ball. We had some, but we just didn't have a plethora of them. So when we were going into it, you know, we're trying to figure out in the book, you know, we felt like Arnold was coming back. We had some guys coming back that we thought could start. So we were trying to figure out how to shore up the bullpen. And that was kind of the biggest focus, was maybe adding a couple of stars, but also getting some guys that we could identify as relievers who had reliever traits who we thought, you know, could be well in that role as well.
All right, well, let's just start at the top of the rotation where you have a superstar and a guy that is preseason as well thought of as a pitcher can be, and we know what Jamie Arnold is. I am interested in that further development of the changeup. We know about the fastball. We know about the slider. Talk to me about where Jamie Arnold's at. Obviously, I'm aware of the ramp-up and the scrimmages, and I know he looked good the other day. Just your thoughts on where Jamie Arnold's at and what we might see that is different from him this year as he continues to improve, and a lot of people are hoping he could be the first pick in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, last year the fastball and changeup were as good as any two pitches in the country, and he was throwing both of them. You know, usually when you have an elite pitch like that, a guy might have one. You rarely see a guy have two. He had two last year. I think coming into the season and into the fall, it was like, how can we add the third pitch? And Jamie was super excited about adding the changeup. It wasn't something that we had to talk him into. Like, he was this summer, he was in a shutdown sending me changeup grips and what do you think about this and what do you think about that, and just talking his way through it. And I think he went through 4 or 5 different grips this fall until he finally settled in on one that he thought he liked. And the hard part for Jamie is he's a low slot. He throws a 4-seam that has some climb. He throws a 2-seam that has sink. And a good changeup has a lot more vertical depth than a sinker. And for a low slot guy, it's hard to create that. For a high slot guy, it's easy to create depth between a changeover and a fastball vertically for a low slot guy, because the sinker already has a lot of depth. It's hard to create that. So for him, he was trying, and finally landed on a pitch that had a lot of depth. And honestly, to date, there's days where it's his best pitch, and that's kind of awkward to say. I don't try to just flippantly throw stuff out there like that, but there are days where the changeup is his best pitch. And that doesn't mean his other two pitches have gotten worse. They're as good as they were last season, and he's added a real third pitch, and we're all excited about that.
When you're dealing with a talent, and I know you're always going to push guys, and guys have to prove it again year after year, but when you're dealing with a talent like that who is as well thought of and as highly touted as he is, it's got to be interesting to watch and engage in that conversation in the offseason about what's going to make you elevated in the eyes of not only what you do here, but in the eyes of scouts. And, you want to see a kid fulfill his potential. You want to see a kid have a chance to get drafted number 1 or something like that. So, yeah, you decide on the change up there. What goes into that? And like, is that something you said, look, you got 2 pitches right now that are plus? Mm-hmm. You've got to have a third to be an ace at the next level, or how did that conversation work?
Yeah, I mean, I think he knew that he was in front of that conversation. That wasn't something I had to bring to him. Hey, like, we need to get this third pitch going. He knew he needed another pitch to neutralize right-handed hitters. He actually thrown it left on left as well, which we're excited about. But the kind of process in that, what we look for internally is the vertical break on your fastball, not to get too much in the weeds, but whatever that is, we want the change to have 10 less vertical break than the fastball. So let's say Jamie's vertical break on his fastball is, let's just throw out a number. Let's say it's 20, which is not, but let's say his vertical break on his fastball is 20. We want the changeup vertical break to be 10 or less. So we go down the lab. We have the TrackMan. We have the edge of giant cameras where we can see the ball of the hand, and we can see what spin is going to create that depth. And we're trying to catch seam shift and those things. And so we're down there just playing around the grip, seeing what will work, what won't. And one day he threw one and the bottom fell out. We were shooting to try to get it to the 0 vertical break. He threw one at -8 vertical break, which profiles as a right-handed curveball, basically. And then we were kind of questioning, like, is it too big? Can he command that? And he has shown the ability to command it. And it's a special pitch. And I would say if we started the season today and everybody in the country threw, we had all the data of everybody in the country, I would say that the vertical break on his changeup would probably be the most vertical break in the country, and probably even a top 3 to 5 vertical break in the big leagues on a changeup. So it's something that's a real weapon that we're excited about.
Baseball's so fun today, Micah. That's so cool, man. To be able to do that. Can you imagine, like, 1985 dudes throwing in a bullpen? Hey, I need you to do this. We're looking at the vertical spin here, Jeff. We need to get – this is so much fun. It's ridiculous. It's the same thing, Coach, as golf, where we see these spin rates and we see all these things that guys are doing with the golf ball and they want the TrackMan, all of the same verbiage. It's amazing to watch what you guys have to draw from, to educate and then work with and teach why and how something operates.
Yeah, it's a fun time. The kids nowadays, they all like the games, like the gamification, right? So like when we go in the lab, no longer are they just trying to do this or do that. It's like, hey, we're trying to, chase these numbers, which for them is like a video game. And so it's fun. But then for me, you have to balance that, right? Like you can get lost in the shapes and the numbers and not just the old school compete and throw strikes. So we have to be able to manage both of those. And if we swing too far left or right, like it's my job to kind of keep that in the middle as best as possible.
Talk to me about Joey Vellini. I keep hearing that there's a real good chance. I know that Coach doesn't want us to pin anybody down or anything like that, but there's a real good chance he could be number 2 in the rotation.
I was wondering if he had gotten in the weeds on that. So
he was funny. I mean, as soon as I started putting guys at positions, I saw his eyes kind of squint. I was like, oh, he's gonna push back on me here. But we know Joey can really do some things, and at times has looked really good. And I know a lot of people around the program are very excited. So for the fans that listen to this, that are going to Hauser, that don't know anything about him, let's talk.
Yeah. I mean, Joey Vellini will be a household name. It'll be a name that fans, need to know. He's going to be similar to kind of what Dorsey was for us last year. He'll be a name that you're going to hear a lot. It's a 4-pitch mix. It's a fastball that's got good backspin and some carry to it. His fastball command is impeccable. I think that's what makes him good is his ability to locate the fastball to 3 quadrants with elite command. He's got a really good overhand curveball, kind of a 12-6, like a Connor Holtz depthy, big curveball. The hitters seem to give them some problems. It's sharp. It's really good. It's got high spin. He's got a really good tight slider. It's short and hard. It's probably, anywhere between the 82 to 84 range that he can throw back foot to righties and down away from lefties. And he got a really good changeup. That's good fade, got good depth. And he commands 4-pitch mix. And I think the thing that we've noticed is his ability to get the 2 strikes really fast. He's done that as good as anybody we've had. If you're watching him pitch in a scrimmage game, he's 0-2, 1-2 on every hitter. The hitters tell you, like, hey, man, when we go in the box, like, you have to be ready to hit because there's not a 6-7 pitch nonsense. Like, we're having quick. He's working quick, and he's getting after guys, and it's been fun to watch. And he's an older guy, and now with the transfer portal, like, we're getting these guys that, have some moxie, have some, they carry themselves like pros, and he's definitely done that.
Wes Mendez is a kid from Ole Miss, a transfer. I'm staying on the left side, as you can tell.
Yeah,
I'm keeping you in order here. So for the listeners, Bellini is also a lefty. Obviously, you guys know Jamie Arnold is. Wes Mendez comes in. He's also a lefty. He could be a guy in the rotation. You have options. I know you can pick some other guys too, even from the right side. But Wes Mendez, let's talk about what he is.
Yeah, I mean, Wes Mendez is some of the best left-handed stuff, just raw stuff in the country. I mean, when you see him toe the rubber, it's easy output. He looks like he's throwing a bullpen and just kind of like throwing at 80%. You're like, man, can he throw hard? It's just so easy. But then you look on the scoreboard and you're seeing some 94s, 95s, 96s. It's the raw stuff is unbelievable. Hammer curveball, like the slider up to 85, 86 miles an hour. He throws a changeup that's like 73, 76 miles an hour. I mean, he's killing almost 20 miles an hour off his fastball. It's like a Fernando's Valenzuela screwball. Like I can't describe it. It's something you'd have to see. But some of the best, raw stuff in the country, and we're just trying to get him to attack zone and seek contact. He doesn't have to. Some guys have to, like Joey Valeen's going to have to pitch the 3 different quadrants of the zone. He's going to have to mix. Mendez can just throw it over the middle of the plate. His stuff is that good. He has 4 elite pitches, and I think when you look at left-handed pitchers in the country, it's some of the best left-handed stuff you'll see.
It's got to be exciting to have a guy that can throw the ball over the middle of the plate and not have to worry about it, just continue to throw strikes. Is that the challenge here as we get into some of the other guys that I want you to go over real quick? But is that the challenge for you? Is that, look, you got guys with stuff, and you have versatility, and you've got some guys that are options in high leverage situations. I want to ask you about Peyton Prescott and guys like that. But is this more just about, especially at this level, I mean, I'm not taking away from guys, but they're not MLBers yet. Is this just about getting guys to throw strikes?
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting them buy into leveraging counts. We talk about all the time in our building, our ability to get ahead in pitchers' counts. It's really what success hinges on. I saw an interview the other day with Barry Bonds, and he said, the key to hitting is getting into hitters' counts.
Watched the same interview. Loved it.
Yep. That's the key. So the key to pitching is the same. The key to pitching is getting the pitcher's count. So to do that, you have to be able to get to 2 strikes before you get to 2 balls. If you can get to 2 strikes before you get to 2 balls, you're going to be a very good pitcher. So for us, we have a stat called leverage. How many of the first 3 pitches do you throw 2 of them for a strike? And we chart that percentage. We came up with the Omaha standard of 63%. The year before, all the teams in Omaha had that 63% average. Our staff average last year was 63%. And when you leverage at that clip, it's funny how the strikeouts seem to be very high and the walks seem to be pretty low. Like this past scrimmage last week, the guys that leveraged 63% or better, they had 41 strikeouts and 14 walks. The guys that didn't, that were under that 63% threshold as a whole, had 19 punch outs and 15 walks. So it's really not about stuff. It's about, can you get in the pitcher's counts and then let your stuff work for you?
Yeah, there's like very few exceptions, right? Unless the hitter is that skilled at just fighting and fouling things off, you get them to 2 strikes before you get to 2 balls. They're in deep trouble when you got guys that have 4 pitches for strikes.
Deep trouble.
Yeah, deep trouble.
Yeah.
I know you've got some other guys that are lefties that we could talk about. You even referenced the back end there with Connor Holt, who I know is trying to add another pitch for a strike besides that curveball to make him more effective. You mentioned Hudson Rowan, guys like just a bunch of different guys. But I do want to ask you about Evan Crest on the right side of things. He was the JU transfer, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And when I looked at him when we were looking at him and I was going through his numbers, you see a really weird split there between freshman and sophomore season. I guess you could explain that. What are we looking at here with what Evan Crest is? Because if you looked at him his freshman year, he was lights out and a stud. And if you looked at him his next year, he wasn't.
Yeah, I think, when we dove into those 2 years and we were trying to figure out, where it kind of maybe was off, the extension was off about half a foot from the previous season, meaning he was kind of peeling off and early rotating. He wasn't staying on line. So we were able to identify that. And also, I think he had leaned really on only 2 pitches last year when we looked at it. The year before, he had more of a 3-pitch mix. The changeup was a lot more in use as a freshman than it was as a sophomore. Last year, he was trying to backspin, climb fastballs, and he was throwing big sweep sliders. Just to date, he's throwing a lot more of a pitch mix. He's throwing fastball, curveball, slider, cutter, changeup, sinker. Like he's got a big wide pitch mix. He's throwing a lot of different pitches. So now is the job for me is like, how do we distribute those and how can we get the best out of that pitch mix? Do we need to lean on these 2 pitches more than these other 3? Do we need to mix them evenly across the board? So that's a process we've been working through here the last month, and we feel like we're getting closer.
I know, Coach, that Ben Barrett is throwing the ball a lot harder than he was throwing the ball the last time we saw him. Now, in fairness to Ben, he had been trying to battle back from an injury, and he showed a warrior's heart with that. But if you tell me, the whispers are true that he's throwing upper 90s at times now, then that's a different pitcher.
The whispers are true. We saw it the other day. He threw a pitch, and we all looked at the scoreboard, and I had to look at it again. And then I was like, "Hey, man, where's the track, man? Like, where's the iPad? I need to see this thing." And he was upper, and I think he grabbing some 7s pretty consistently. Woo! And it's real good. And the best part about that is the slider was upper 80s, and it had depth, and it was a real pitch. So Ben has worked extremely hard on his body. He's gotten a lot more lean. His mobility is as best as it's ever been. The arm carry, the little things off the field, he's constantly on top of those. So, for us, it's just, we haven't stretched Ben out. We've kept him at the kind of the 1 and 2 inning mark just to try to get him to the season and keep him healthy. And we'll start slow with Ben. And then as the season goes on, as we feel like we need to, we'll extend him a little bit more here and there.
Is John Abraham a guy you're stretching out? Are there other guys that I should ask you about that maybe I was just glossing over?
We stretched out 10 guys, believe it or not. We stretched out 10 guys. We got 10 guys to at least the 55, 60 pitch mark, which we were excited about. This week we'll have 6 guys that we get to the 70, 75 pitch mark, but we were able to get 10 guys to the 60 pitch mark, which we think is a really good thing. We ramped up Abraham, we ramped up Crest, we ramped up Prescott, Arnold, Lout, Marlowe, Mendez, Rowan, Bellini. All these guys we'd ramped up, and we're kind of, specifically Hudson Rowan was a guy that we thought was more of like a 1 or 2 inning guy, and we've seen in this ramp up. I mean, he threw 4 innings the other day and had 19 swing and misses and had 3 pitches going. The changeup was, hammering the strike zone and was highly efficient. So the one thing we're learning is it's hard to put some of these guys in a box and tab them as a reliever or whatever. Like, I think if you give guys opportunity, you start to see things that you didn't think you would see.
Yeah, I think most people would have thought of Hudson Rowan as a situational lefty. So you're saying maybe not the case there, right? Peyton Prescott, you mentioned his name. I've heard big things about his MPH as well. He's 98 guy, 97 guy, something along those lines. I don't know anything about him, but that sounds like a high leverage guy.
Yeah, it's firm. I mean, he's been up to 98. It's a really good arm. Maybe we'll see some hunters. I mean, it's in there. I mean, we get to the games. Like, it's a strong arm. I think the biggest thing we've had to do with him is teach him how to shape the breaking ball. he's a natural pronator, and those guys, it's hard for them to get around a breaking ball sometimes. So we're trying to get him a little bit more to the side of it. So that's one thing we've worked extremely hard on, is just trying to get him to the side of his breaking ball, which we feel like we've, moved the needle on that quite a bit. So he's a great kid. He's a good addition, good culture add, like the way he goes about his business, like just a very, very easy guy to pull for. And we're excited he's on our team for sure.
Sounds like stuff and versatility abounds for you, Coach. You've got to be really happy as we wrap this up. I got to figure that you've got so many options at times that could be a bit dizzying to make sure you get everybody their work. Especially as the season gets going.
Yeah, and you're just nervous that maybe you're leaving a guy out that you shouldn't be, and there's a lot that goes into that. But as this season unfolds, I think we'll get into this thing, and we'll be able to iron this thing out as we go. And there's definitely not short for options. So as you know, when the game starts, the cream rises to the top, and guys start to separate themselves, and that's the thing I'm most excited to see.
I look forward to talking to you throughout the course of the year. It's always a pleasure. You're really gracious with your time, and I love your candor. Thank you, Coach. Be well.
All right, Jeff. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Take care, man.
All right.
That's pitching coach Micah Posey, Florida State University, kind with his time and really, really good with the information. We get to learn so much about what they're looking for and what guys have added and which guys are going to be able to maybe step in earlier than we thought, or a guy that they're ramping up or extending, those kinds of things. A lot of fun. We've got a lot to digest there. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, and Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Leon County Sheriff's Office is looking to boost the number of businesses hiring people recently released from prison. The benefits of hiring someone with a criminal record can impact the community, not just the individual. Roughly 50% of inmates who do not find a job shortly after release are likely to commit another crime or return to jail. LCSO is looking for more businesses to join their network and help hire offenders. While it is up to the employer what type of offenders they hire, building that relationship is a starting point for someone looking to get back on track. LCSO said they currently have about 40 businesses pledged to help hire people with criminal records. To help expand their partnership, the Sheriff's Office is hosting a Second Chance business event on February 20th. Businesses interested in attending can contact Aaron Tupper with the Leon County Sheriff's Office at 850-591-7017. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
Here's your Paul's Termite and Pest Control Tallahassee weather report.
Continued warm weather with a mix of sun and clouds. Not much in the way of rainfall in the forecast. High temperatures staying in the 70s to near that 80-degree mark with lows in the 50s. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low of 55. Thursday, fog possible early, mostly sunny, high of 80, low of 56. Mostly sunny on Friday and Saturday with highs near 80. From Real Talk 93.3, this is Danielle Kelly.
For the elimination of termites, pests, and for a greener lawn too. Call Paul's. They'll get them all.
Where is the best place to find Michelin, Firestone, Dunlop, Goodyear, and Bridgestone tires? Nice Tire and Auto Service. Where's the best full-service auto center? Nice Tire and Auto Service. They do everything from computerized alignments to brakes, tune-ups, and safety inspections. Where can you get complete auto service you can trust? That's easy. Nice Tire and Auto Service. 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
When disaster strikes, the food supply is the first domino to fall. It can start quietly, an emergency alert, a breaking news headline. But within hours, reality sets in. People rush to grocery stores, emptying shelves of everything from bread to canned goods. Lines stretch out the door, tempers flare, and desperation takes hold. And no matter who's in charge these days, you simply can't rely on the government to bail you out. That's why having an emergency food supply on hand is the right move for you and your family. Right now, you can get $50 off a 4-week emergency food kit at mypatriotsupply.com. They're an American company trusted by millions, offering 2,000 calories per day with essential vitamins and minerals to keep you strong during a crisis. This food will be there for you when you need it, since it lasts up to 25 years and can ship out to you next day. Go to mypatriotsupply.com now to get $50 off your 4-week emergency food kit. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Chock full today with those interviews in back-to-back hours. The first being Link Jarrett. If you missed any of that, for example, you can go back, catch it later on today. It'll be up in the pod, obviously. It was last hour. You can also find it on the YouTube channel. And then just now, Micah, Posey. We thank both gentlemen for their time. Looking forward to Florida State baseball. Man.
Thanks to Charlie, the new SID over at Florida State baseball as well, for setting those up. They were in great spirits today. Outstanding spirits, both of the coaches.
Well, I got to imagine that when you love what you do and you got a good team, you can't wait for the season to start. And they had, of course, the few weeks there in the fall, and then now they come in here and it's the ramp up to the season. And so now you've got guys kind of where you want them to be. All that's left is to get started. They'll be throwing again, I think, this weekend and kind of stretching them out a little bit more. And then voila, we are off and running.
I'll be talking about a scrimmage on Friday with Jamie Arnold throwing. You got half a mind to stroll on over there and take a look.
I do. I am fighting this ear, nose, and throat issue right now on the air as we're fading fast. What are you doing?
I'm just nervous.
Dude, I've not been that close to you. If I have to, we'll do the show from the house tomorrow. I can do it from the house. You can be in here. Yeah.
No, I'm starting to feel a scratchy throat, and I know that's my brain. I know that's my brain.
No talking. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, brain, that's funny. Ha 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 ha. You're not real.
Well, I said it on yesterday's show. If you're in Tallahassee, you know of which I speak, man. It's a tough time because everybody seems to be sick. I do want to say something. I don't always do this, but I got to meet these young men this year and got to watch them, and so I just want to congratulate them. I think it's a pretty cool thing. As you guys know, my oldest son, both my boys go to Leon, and my oldest is going to be a senior wide receiver next year for Leon. He was a junior receiver this year, and it's been a lot of fun to watch these kids play. And a few kids got scholarships, and I'm just proud of them. I've watched them work, and I just think it's a hell of an accomplishment. One thing I say to everybody, man, if you get a offer to play sports in college, and I don't care, the size of the school or the sport, even whatever it might be, you're in a very rare place. It's a hard thing to do because there are so many kids that play, and very few, I know if you look at the percentages, ever get a scholarship to play college athletics. And so if you can stick to it and it happens, be proud of yourself. Be really proud of yourself. And I will shout out Jeremiah Daniels, who's going to LaGrange College, Luke Grant going to Memphis, and Mason Tootle is going to Cumberland University. Watch those three young men, and congratulations to the three of you. And really anybody else out there who's accomplished that feat. I just happen to know those young men. So, they played with my son. And
today is still a big day in that regard.
Yeah.
Really big day for a lot of people.
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. And congratulations to everybody who got an opportunity to maybe do that. And I just wanted to shout out those kids.
Oh, man, I was blown away and hurt inside for getting old. When I was in Georgia a couple weeks ago, and my niece was talking about, a couple of the big time players that are at her school. She's making her decision. She's graduating in 3 months' time. She really wants to go to Georgia Tech. I said, I know somebody who's in your shoes.
Yep.
That maybe I could connect you to so you could learn if she gets accepted.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then my nephew, who's also in the same high school, a few years behind, they've got a kid that is going to be maybe the number one edge rusher in the country. And we were talking about, well, where's he interested in? Well, Georgia most. He ain't thinking about us, is he? And he said, no, I asked him. I don't think so right now. But she said, well, Shamar is. I said, Shamar? Arnaud? She said, yeah, I think he's there now. I said, yeah, he was in my class. He's in my class. He left. He's going to Florida State.
Wow.
Oh, so you went to school with one of the kids we signed. Oh, no. This is ridiculous.
It's happening, buddy.
It is happening.
Get ready to feel old.
That's my second niece.
Let me tell you, I know. And now that I've known you as long as I have, I remember them. Little. I remember them little bitty. I remember them coming up to see you while we were doing pregame shows.
Yeah. Yeah, Shamar speaks to the press on Tuesday. Yeah. Or no, next Thursday. Excuse me, next Thursday. He speaks to the press.
And you can feel older.
He was just in a cafeteria with my niece. What?
That's pretty funny. Soon we'll be doing probables as well, guys, as we round out the show, and we'll find a way to sneak in some daily wagers for hockey. Tom, the pressure's on you with that.
Yeah, well, I've put some of these things on the boards, and I really should be sharing here because this is the first place I ever shared such information. I had Ottawa team total under last night, and it hit. I had Lightning team total under over the weekend.
What are we doing over here? Don't tell us about what you did.
I'm not trying to be Tony Romo and say, hey, Jim, last night I told you they might think about faking something. It's actually documented. It is documented. It's in the locker room.
Oh, I believe you. You just need to,
Tomorrow's a toughie. I feel like game total under tomorrow for Tampa, Ottawa.
We'll look at it tomorrow. Yeah. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Real quick before I sign off, our friends at Tried and True Consulting got a great deal going on for you right now. By the way, if you're a Jeff Cameron Show advertiser, you get a free ad board for your business. So if you're in business with me, do business with them. You get a 55-inch 4K television installation, 6 months of free ads at all the other locations across Tallahassee. Discount advertising fee. If you have a TV, you get 1 year of ads for free. All the other participating locations with our ad board program. So you're going to want to sign up and get together with our guys at Tried and True Consulting. Time to say goodbye. Good work out of you. Thanks to all of you. We'll talk tomorrow. Peace.